audience?
I'm going to tell you in one moment. So, let me back that up and let's find our
What?
document. Oh, we had to pull up whatever notes I'm going to share here today. So, an audience means a group of people, or it could even be one person, who is or who are listening to you when you're sharing something. That's called an audience. That's called an audience. So the audience is starting to come in, as you can see over here on TikTok, on Instagram, and over there on LinkedIn. So this is called the audience. These are people who are listening to or consuming you when you're sharing something.
Hey, but no, you take this.
You want to come up here so you can see you?
So you can see yourself, see?
Yes, so they can see us.
When Donald Daddy comes up on the computer, you can see yourself up here.
Yeah, so right over here is Rumble. Can you say good morning to Rumble?
Hi, Rumble.
And good morning to YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Over here also is Facebook. You say good morning to Facebook.
Hi, Facebook.
And also LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn.
Hi, LinkedIn.
Over here is Instagram. Say good morning, Instagram.
Hi, Instagram.
And over here is TikTok. Good morning, TikTok.
Hi, TikTok.
Okay, so this is the audience. So the audience is whatever people happen to watch this while we're talking, or they can watch it later too, because this will be on replay, and we take clips out of this and make it into shorter videos too. So that's what an audience is. And you understand now?
Yes.
Okay, so now you know what it is. Good morning, everybody. As y'all are checking in, hope y'all are having a great, what's the day? Thursday. Today's topic, we're going to talk about deportation. We're going to talk about the deportation warp speed that the current administration seems to be running. It seems like they're actually doing what they said they were going to do. As y'all are coming in, tell me your locations. Tell me where you're checking in from. Give me a town, city or town where you're checking in from, and we will get started. My timer is on. Give myself no more than an hour to get through my material. Then we'll get to what we're going to get to here today. Let me see what we got going on over on James Collins 956. Good morning. Who is that? R. Philly. Good morning. Questions? Yes. Okay. AJ said, talk about Republicans voting to deport U.S. citizens yesterday. Okay. Good morning, Courtney. Good to see you over here. We got Pennsylvania in the house. Pennsylvania is a big place. Dallas, Texas. Shout out to Dallas. Housing in Dallas is relatively cheap compared to down here in South Florida. Connecticut is in the house. Jansen says, a dim voter, I'm tired of hearing of poetry slams and color matchings. Makes y'all look like a theater troupe. Who are you talking about? I don't even know what that's referring to. Maybe you left that comment in the wrong place. I don't know what you're talking about. Willie said, good morning. Willie Sellers, Jamaica, Queens, New York. Shout out to Jamaica, Queens. Shout out to 50 Cent. Get off of that. Don't touch that. Thank you, Ben Thierry. Wichita, Kansas. I've actually been to Kansas. A bunch of towns in Kansas, believe it or not. He got my lighter checking in from Chi-Town. Chi-Town's in the morning. CC, good morning. AJ said, I'm serious. Google it. I ain't Googling shit. We talking about deportation warp speed. That's the topic. Tennessee is in the house. Shout out to Tennessee. Philadelphia. Shout out to Philly, my hometown. And what else we got? Kuto, good morning. We got Naptown. Is that Indianapolis? Shout out to Indianapolis. Leipzig, Germany. Tyron Johnson, what's going on, my dude? Shout out to Germany. Beautiful place. Yes, beautiful place, Germany. Spent some time in Germany. Had a good time there. We got Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I don't think I've ever even been to the state of Alabama. I'm not sure I have. Shout out to Alabama, though. I heard it's nice in Tuscaloosa. College towns are always fun for the right reasons. All that said, folks, we're going to get into the topic here today. We're going to talk about deportation warp speed, which is this concept that we know our current borders are. A guy who's actually owning the title, guy by the name of Tom Homan, said he's running that, and he wants to get people who are in this country illegally out of the country and go not only when they turn up somewhere, but actually going and hunting these people down, which is what they've been doing. And some people have a problem with that hunting down. Some people don't have a problem with the hunting down. We're going to discuss all that here today because it has been a topic. We talked about maybe about 2 weeks ago, the whole Maryland man hoax. The Maryland man thing was a hoax. It was a man, and he was from Maryland, but it was still a hoax because the whole framing of it was that the Trump administration was just hunting down just random people and coming up with a reason to deport people when this guy really shouldn't have been in the country because he was here illegally, regardless of everything else that came on top of that story. And again, I did a whole 2 hours on that. So if you didn't hear it, the replay is on my YouTube channel. I got more than one YouTube channel, so look them up. You can find it where I discussed and we talked about the Maryland man hoax. And that guy, the last we heard, is he still in prison in El Salvador? Anybody got an update on that guy? Is he still in the El Salvadorian prison? And they're still trying to see if he should get taken out. And you got Democrats flying down there to virtue signal that they're trying to save this guy. Even if he got taken out of that El Salvadorian jail and flew back to the United States, they would immediately deport him all over again because he is already here illegally. And he's going to not be in the country. So anyway, let me introduce myself first so we can get into this topic. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of 41 books, done 4 TEDx talks. I own this company called Work On Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we work with professional service entrepreneurs to systematize and scale their businesses to the 6 and 7 figure levels. And we do that through a 4-part system of mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability / implementation. You want to learn more about that and working with me directly and working with what we have and our processes, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is in my profile or bio or in the pinned comment on whichever platform you're watching me on. Also remind you all that I usually do about maybe somewhere around an hour of material on these subjects where it's basically a one-way conversation of me talking to you all. And then after that, around the 9 o'clock hour is 8 a.m. right now, Eastern. Then I open the floor up for discussion. So if you have a question or comment or feedback or agreement on anything that I'm saying, I am open to it. Or a disagreement or criticism or something I'm saying, I'm open to that as well. As long as you are respectful and you bring some substance, you are free to disagree with me. I'm open to disagreements. I actually appreciate disagreements because they let me demonstrate my expertise. And maybe, just maybe every now and then I might learn something new from one of you pushing back against something that I'm saying or a question that I may ask open to the audience. I am live on 7 different platforms right now: Rumble, X, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. So you see me looking around at different cameras. That's the reason. And I'm not looking at the comments while I'm talking. But if I do ask a question that I'm actually asking for an answer, I will look at the comments to see that. Cynthia over on YouTube, good morning to you. And again, when I'm done, I will open the floor up for conversation. By the way, the replays for all of these live streams are on a YouTube channel of mine. Just look up my name, Dre Baldwin, or there's a link in my TikTok profile. If you're on other apps, just look me up on YouTube. I got 1 million videos on YouTube, almost literally. So just look it up and look up the topic and you'll pretty much be able to find me. All that said, let's get into this topic. First of all, here's the current hoax. All right, the current hoax about the Trump administration / Tom Homan / ICE and the border situation. The current hoax is that Donald Trump is deporting 2-year-old children. That's the current hoax. All right, that's what they're doing now. Oh, he's deporting 2-year-old children. 2-year-old American citizens are getting deported out of the United States. And this is, of course, a frame. It's an appeal to emotion fallacy to make it seem like Donald Trump is just this cold-hearted person who's just deporting people who are not even here illegally. And it's just more proof of the cold-heartedness of the Trump administration. So let's clean up this nonsense first. Let's just eat the low-hanging fruit easy at the beginning of this conversation. All right, the way it works, Tom Homan explained this when I think after Trump won the election, before the administration even began. Might have been after they began in January, but he explained this. I heard him explain it. And by the way, this is the same thing every administration has been doing, from Obama to the first Trump to Biden to now. They all do the same thing. Here's how it works. If you have come into the country illegally, let's say you're an adult and you're 30, you came into the country illegally, and while you are here, you had a child. You had 2 kids. You got a 4-year-old and you got a 6-year-old. And let's say you got 3. You got a 2-year-old. They were born on American soil, so technically they have American citizenship because they were born here. And then Tom Homan and the cold-hearted Trump administration, and I'm being tongue-in-cheek when I say that, they come find you because you are here illegally. You, the 30-year-old, you're here illegally. So now they're about to deport you. And they tell you, hey, Mr. 30-year-old or Mrs. 30-year-old, you are about to get deported because you came here illegally. You don't have proper documentation. You do not belong in the United States of America. We're sending you back to wherever we're sending you to. Now, we noticed that you had 3 children. You have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. You have a choice, Mr. Deportee, soon to be deportee. You can either A, leave those kids here in America because they are technically citizens, but they're going to have to stay with some adult who can be responsible for them because it ain't going to be you because you will not be here in America. Or B, if you would like, yes, come here. If you would like, those kids can get deported out of America with you. They can go with you because you don't want to leave your kids in America where they are citizens, but you as a parent, what'd you say?
It's a little well.
Yeah, see, you got a lot of colors here. Where are you getting all these colors from?
Oh, I was just getting all these colors from the closet.
Oh, there must be a lot of colors in that closet.
You don't see them?
No, I'm working, Blake. I will see you later. All right, so they say you can take, bye-bye. They will take your kid, you can take your kids with you if you're going to get deported. So that's a choice that this cold-hearted administration is giving to the deportees. So if someone gets deported and they say, I don't want to leave my 2-year-old kid here in Arizona without me, now the 2-year-old kid is getting deported with the parents or with whoever the responsible adult is for that child. And what's happening is the mainstream media, with help from the people in the Democratic Party who are trying to make Trump look bad, they're taking bits and pieces of quote unquote facts out of the full truth. And they're only telling you the pieces that apply to you or that apply to the story that they want to tell. So they have you believing that Trump is just deporting 2-year-olds when actually they're deporting a 30-year-old who happens to have a 2-year-old, and the 30-year-old doesn't want to leave their kid in America alone, abandoned. So the 2-year-old is going with them. So they say, oh, they're deporting the 2-year-old, but they didn't even tell you about the 30-year-old that also is getting deported. So that's the bullshit that they're telling you. So any of you have been fooled by that. Hopefully none of you is that shallow to be fooled by that nonsense. But this is what they're doing right now. All right, this is the current situation of what they're doing. So no 2-year-olds are being deported. The parents have the option to take the kids with them. Or if you're married, let's say you are here without proper documentation, but your husband or wife is a citizen and you're about to get deported. Well, the husband or wife can go with you if they don't want to be separate from you. They can get shipped away too with you, but you cannot stay here. So Tom Homan made this very clear when the Trump administration was first coming in earlier this year, that if you are here without proper documentation and we're kicking you out, anybody you have with you who doesn't want to be separate from you, they can go with you, but you can't stay just because they don't want to be apart from you. You got to go. So that's the situation. So what we're getting right now is what we call injustice corn. Injustice corn. And I'm saying corn, but y'all know what I mean. So, and then people know this about Trump since his first administration, is that they try to find or they try to frame something as some form of injustice. And then they keep putting it out to you and telling you over and over and over and over and over again that Trump is doing these injustices. You saw this just happen the other day with Saquon Barkley, the NFL player who went to the White House to take the picture, and he went to the Trump visit he went to the presidential visit by the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles to the White House, and a bunch of black people were saying, well, look at all these negative things Donald Trump has done to harm black people in America. And you, Saquon, as a black person, how could you go and take a picture with this guy and go shake this guy's hand and play around the golf with this guy when he's doing terrible things to black people? And I was asking the question on social media then, same question I asked a couple of days ago when I talked about this. What did he do? I'm black. Or what is he doing? I haven't had any of these harmful things happen to me. What are these harmful things he's done? And some of the things people are pointing out is, well, they were removing artifacts from some museum in Washington, D.C. I don't give a damn about any artifacts in the museum. And they say, and some people say, well, they do care about it. They're trying to erase history. All right, I want y'all to understand something. History, by definition, is an event. History is not an artifact. History is not a picture on the wall. History is not some fossil that you dug up in the ground. History is an event. So when I tell you I did a live stream 2 days ago, that event, the live stream itself, is history. The fact that I did it is the history. You can't erase the fact that I did it. Now, you can erase somebody telling the story of me doing it. If I print it out on a piece of paper, you could take the piece of paper and burn it. So then the record, at least on that piece of paper, is no longer there. But the fact that it happened is not erased. So there's no such thing as erasing history. That's an oxymoron. You can't erase history because history is what occurred, not your record of what occurred. Your record of what occurred. It is not what you wrote down about what occurred. And it is not a picture or a building that tells you all the things that occurred. History is just the event in and of itself. So whenever you hear somebody saying that they are trying to erase history, that person is simply just repeating something that they heard from somebody else, and or they don't understand what history actually is. And the dictionary is a good friend of yours. So any of you want to know what any of these words mean. I'm not just picking this up out of nowhere. So what they're doing with the Trump administration, we all know this. They did this first time. They're doing it this time. They're going to keep doing it through 2028, is the injustice corn. Anything that happens with Anything that happens with Trump, they're going to frame it not as this is just logically bad, unless it happens to be in such a way that they don't have to do anything, such as, let's say, the economy conversation. But anything else, they got to figure out a way to find the emotional angle. And then what they do, again, I just explained this to you, they use the appeal to emotion fallacy. An appeal to emotion fallacy is when you find the emotional angle in anything and you leverage that emotional angle to try to get other people to see things your way, not because you explain it to them rationally or logically, but because you explain it to them in a way that tugs at their emotions. And when people get emotional, all logic goes out of the window. Emotion overpowers logic 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. So America, where all of us live, or most of us, we have laws on the books when it comes to immigration. Do all of you know this? Does everybody agree with this? And by the way, I'm going to take questions and comments at the end when I get done my material. America has laws on the books when it comes to immigration, when it comes to coming into this country. If you were not born here and you want to come here and stay here, there are certain laws that you must abide by and certain rules that you have to follow. Everyone agrees that exists, right? Okay, we all exist. We have these laws on the books. And there's a process for coming into this country. If you are not from here and you want to come here, there is a process you have to follow if you want to come here. And there is a process if you want to come here and leave. There's one process. If you want to, let's say, for example, to visit your friends and family or to go on vacation, then there's another process if you want to come here and you want to stay. You want to come not just for a couple of weeks or to go take pictures of the Statue of Liberty, but you actually want to stay here in America and you want to live here. You want to be a citizen, pay taxes, this, that, and the third. There's another process for that. Those laws have been flouted and completely unenforced for so long that people have come to expect or accept that the laws do not exist. For this, we can blame the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration. This one, we can blame them for this because this was not happening under George W. Bush this century. It wasn't happening under George W. Bush. It was not happening under Barack Obama. A lot of people don't know that. Some of you know it. A lot of people don't. Barack Obama sent more undocumented people out of America than anybody, more than Trump. Barack Obama was getting people out of here. And under the first Trump, it wasn't happening. It was only under the Biden administration where they took the laws and the rules that we have when it comes to the border, when it comes to coming into our country and immigrating here, whether, again, to visit. Most people weren't coming to visit. They were coming to stay, maybe under the guise of visiting, but they were staying. That's because the Biden administration decided to relax the enforcement of the rules and the laws. They didn't change the law. What they did was relax the enforcement of it. And this is what, when you see the president talking about executive orders, that is what they're doing. So I'll make it clear to you. When Donald Trump won in 2016, the first thing he did when he took office in 2017, January 2017, was he instituted a bunch of executive orders, or he signed a bunch of executive orders, was basically took the border, the southern border of the United States of America, and basically put stronger enforcements of the law in place. In other words, let's send some more troops down there. Let's not be so lenient on this. Let's not be so lax on that. Let's not give people the benefit of the doubt on this, this, and this. What we're going to do is enforce everything, and we're basically going to stifle a bunch of immigration that was coming in here normally before me. We're going to stifle that, and we're going to slow down the process of immigration here in the United States of America. In other words, he did exactly what he campaigned on. That's what he did when he came into office in 2017. When Joe Biden came into office in 2021, after the 2020 election, he came into office. The first thing he did in his first 30 days is he signed a bunch of executive orders. By the way, what Trump did was through executive order. He didn't institute new laws. President can't do that unilaterally. He had to do that through Congress. But all he did was sign those executive orders. Joe Biden comes in, and in his first 30 days, he signs a bunch of basically counter executive orders. So he just undid a whole lot of things that Trump did. His executive orders basically destroyed all of Trump's executive orders, and he relaxed the infiltration at the border and basically lowered the level of scrutiny, let's just say, that the Border Patrol agents were using when people were trying to come into the country. They made it easier for someone to come into the country without having to go through directly, or as, what's the word I want to use here? As they weren't as strident, let's just say, when it comes to enforcing the rules and the laws, and they were allowing more people to come in with, it was just more relaxed. Let's just put it that way. And one thing that I tell people all the time is that when you have rules that you do not strictly and consistently enforce, they are no longer rules. You should call them what they actually are, which are suggestions. And what happened, this is just me speaking, this is my perspective speaking, is that when Joe Biden took office and he signed those executive orders to basically counter what Trump had been doing, and the whole thing around Trump, you got to understand, a lot of people were mad at Trump because the whole frame on him was he's xenophobic. He doesn't like immigrants. He doesn't like black or brown people. He doesn't like the fact. And he represented the belief that a lot of people have that can be based in truth, that there are a lot of white Americans who didn't like the fact that too many black and brown people were coming into our country and being allowed to stay here. And pretty much it looked like they were starting to replace the white people in America. Were there white people who bought into that belief? And did Donald Trump kind of push them to keep believing it and that he was going to stop it? The answer is absolutely yes. It doesn't necessarily make them wrong. Does not necessarily make them wrong, because, I mean, America is America. And if you live here and you lived here for a long time and you're white and you see all these black and brown people coming in here and they didn't have to go through much of the rules, it didn't appear, at least under the Biden administration or the Obama administration, not as much under Obama. And Trump comes in and says, well, we're going to stop this. He didn't say it in so many words of what I just explained, because he couldn't have said that and won an election. But he said it in enough that people got the point, and it worked. Why? Because people did actually feel that way. People probably still to this day feel that way because of what Biden did during his administration, which all it did was set the table for Trump to do what he's doing right now. Trump wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now if Biden hadn't done what he did during his term, because there would be no need for him to do it. He wouldn't have to do it because there wouldn't be such an influx of people coming in here to the point that Trump could use that energy to counter the energy with something else. One of the laws of energy, folks, is that energy goes back and forth. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the fact that Trump came in and said all these black and brown people, he didn't say that in so many words. He said these countries are sending their immigrants, but they're not sending their best. They're sending these people who do SAs and people who are criminals and people who are in gangs and people who are hurting us. He was able to use that frame. Reason he was able to use that frame because all he needed was a few anecdotal examples to point out. And that's enough to get people emotionally triggered. On top of the fact that Barack Obama was a brown man himself, and it was Donald Trump is the one who pushed the whole birtherism thing. Like, is Barack Obama actually from Kenya? Is he actually from Hawaii? Candace Owens did a deep dive on that. Y'all can look into that on your own time. But all Donald Trump did was push back against whatever Obama was doing, and that worked. And then when Biden came in, all he had to do was say, well, look, Trump's xenophobic. He doesn't like black and brown people. So look at me. I went and got a black and brown person to be my VP. I went and got a woman to be my VP. And we're going to open it for everybody. He didn't say that. But again, he alluded to it enough for people to understand, if I win, we're going to allow more people to come into this country. And again, he didn't say it in so many words, but he made sure you understood it. And when he became president, that's exactly what he did. They opened up the border. Nobody was at the border. Kamala hadn't been to the border. Remember that interview? Have you been to the border? Have you been to the border? No, I haven't been to the border. I haven't been to Europe either. And then the little laugh. I'm not going to try to do Kamala's laugh. But they didn't care. They just said, let's let as many people in as possible. People were getting in and getting legal status, quote unquote, through an application on their phones. And again, they just flooded in. Why? Because that was a counter energy to Donald Trump. It's not that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris all of a sudden just developed all this love for immigrants. It's because in order to look like we're not Donald Trump, we got to take everything Donald Trump was allegedly about, and we got to show that we're the exact opposite. And that's exactly what they did. On top of the fact that that's a long-term play for the Democratic Party. We bring in a whole bunch of immigrants, then these people will eventually become citizens. That's the path to citizenship. Kamala used that term a lot during her campaign. And it was alarming that she kept using it, because that's clearly a Democratic strategy long-term, is path to citizenship for people who are here without proper documentation. And this is why Holman is bouncing back against it. So in 2024, when Trump wins the election, what does he immediately do? All he does is counter the energy that countered his energy. So it's just this back and forth tennis match between the Democrats and the Republicans, and the American citizens we're the pawns in the middle of this game. That's what this is. And when Donald Trump comes in with Tom Homan, and they're like, we got to get these people out of here. We got to get all these people who the Biden administration let in. We have to undo all the shit that they did by getting these people who don't have proper documentation out of the country. And Tom Homan has a sense of urgency about this. I like the way this guy operates. Now, maybe you're not a fan of Trump. Maybe you didn't vote for him. Maybe you're not MAGA. Maybe you're a hardcore liberal and you don't like anything that Trump's about or anything I just explained. Everything I just explained is accurate. What I like about Tom Homan is that the guy operates with urgency. He has a sense of urgency about what he's doing. And he understands the bigger picture. The bigger picture here for all of you to understand, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or indifferent, is this: that a whole bunch of people without proper documentation, not going through the normal channels of immigration, were allowed into this country during the Biden administration. We can all agree with that. Whether you are a fan of it or you're not a fan of it or you're indifferent, we can all agree that happened. So all these people came into the country, And here's the thing. The longer these people are here, the better chance, and the more they're unable to be found by ICE and by Tom Homan's team, the better, and Kristi Noem as well, the better the chance that they can be here long enough to where they could eventually be granted citizenship. Let's just say that a Democrat takes the White House in 2028. What do you think they're going to do? Any immigrant who came here during the Biden administration who was able to evade the reach of Tom Homan and Kristi Noem during this administration, that Democrat who comes in 2028, let's just say it was Kamala Harris. I don't think she's going to win in 2028, but let's just say it was her, because this would be a perfect example if it is her. She's going to come in and she's going to try to fast track as quickly as she can this path to citizenship for all of those immigrants. Those immigrants are now citizens in America, which means what? Now they can vote in elections. And they got their citizenship and they got allowed into the country by who? The Democratic Party, Joe Biden. And now they got citizenship from Kamala Harris. Who do you think they're going to vote for? This is the long-term play for the Democrats. Letting all those people in from 2021 through 2024 had nothing to do with the kindness of the hearts of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala is technically, she was born in the United States, right? I mean, that's the only way she can run for president. And Joe Biden is as white as a picket fence. So what the hell does he care about an immigrant? He's from Delaware. And ain't a bunch of immigrants running around Delaware and Scranton, PA. Ain't a bunch of immigrants. I'm from Pennsylvania. All right, so I know that ain't that many immigrants up there. But anyway, what the hell does Joe Biden care? He doesn't. All right, this is a Democratic play. They're part of the Democratic Party. They're team players doing what the team says. And by the way, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, both lifelong politicians. That should also tell you something as to why they're so willing to go along with the Democratic playbook. They don't have their own playbook because their whole life they've been in the politics. Donald Trump, completely different background. And there's a reason why he's coming in like a bull in the China shop doing the things that he's doing. So Tom Homan understands this, that any immigrants that he and his team do not catch and get rid of in this term between now and 2028, if a Democrat wins the White House in 2028, those people could become citizens. And those people they're going to vote Democrat. At least at first, they're going to vote Democrat. And this is going to make it harder for the Republicans to win elections. And the Republicans understand this. The Democrats, they know it. They're not saying it out loud, but they very well know this is the game. Had Kamala won that 2024 election, depending on the way you want to look at it, Democrats would have put themselves in a really good space. Let's put it that way. Now, this path to citizenship, I don't know exactly how Kamala planned on doing it. She might have had to go through the legislature to do it. Now, if they had control of both seats, both houses of Congress and the White House, it probably would happen between now and 2028. Had Kamala won and the Democrats had won the House of Representatives and the Senate, it would probably happen. They would have gotten all those people to become citizens. And all this stuff we're talking about wouldn't even be happening had she won and the Democrats won the other houses. But the exact opposite happened. So it's a far-fetched hypothetical because it's the exact opposite of what actually happened, was the Republicans control both sides, excuse me, and Donald Trump won the election. So now they're trying to undo, and I want y'all to understand the bigger picture of what all this means for all of us. Now they're trying to undo everything that Biden did. Now, let me pause here and insert something that all of you need to understand. From what I just explained, Donald Trump comes in and he stops people from coming in. Biden comes in and he lets a whole bunch of people come in. Donald Trump comes in and now he's not only stopping people from coming in, but he's also trying to extract the people who Biden let in. Let me ask you all a question. What do you notice is not happening while both political parties are playing this tennis match back and forth with each other? Because they're using a lot of resources to do this. It's the attention of the media. It's the money that it costs. It's the manpower that they have to use to do all this stuff. You know what's not happening while they're doing this back and forth, the Democrats and the Republicans and the Democrats and the Republicans? All the stuff that the everyday person who may not even be directly, affected by any of this, nothing that the government is doing with all those resources are doing anything to help us advance and move forward. This is the reason why you shouldn't be ever dependent on the government for anything, because this is the actual game of politics. The actual game of politics is the Democrats do something, then the Republicans counter that energy. Again, equal and opposite reaction. Then they go back and do something, and they do something. This is back and forth. It's like a game of tennis, like a tennis match. And you ever go to a tennis match, you just watch the crowd. All you see is them doing this. That's the politics right now in America. Democrat, Republican, action, reaction. They just go back and forth. And this tennis match that we're all watching, understand that time is going by and nothing is happening to actually help the average American citizen who is not affected by any of this move forward. This is the reason why you can't depend on the government, because they're really playing against each other, not for us. I understand what Tom Homan and the Trump administration are trying to do. And on the surface, yes, they are trying to help people because they're trying to get the citizens to know that we're not allowing non-citizens to come in here and just stay here. We're going to get those people out. But the only reason they even have to do it is because of what the previous administration did. And if the Democrats take over the White House in 2028, they're going to undo everything that the current administration is doing. And again, it just becomes this back and forth. And if the Republicans win in 2028, guaranteed they're not going to win like 3 straight elections. So let's say they won that one. And then let's say the Republicans win 2028, damn sure not winning 2032. The Democrats will take take it back. The balance of power is, and this is in some ways a good thing for us, but in other ways is a bad thing based on what I just explained. That neither party can get into complete, absolute, unchecked power, because if you get power for maybe a term or two, now the other side comes in and they take over. That's why the 2026 midterms, I guarantee you, no, I'm not even going to guarantee, but I would bet, if I was willing to bet money, I'm not a betting person, but if I was willing to bet money, I would bet that the Democrats take at least one of the 2 sides of Congress, the legislature, in 2026. Why? Because it's just the way it goes. And then there's going to be more back and forth nonsense. And this is how it goes in politics in America. And a whole while, all of us, our lives are going by and no progress is really being made in the big picture, or quickly, let's say. The big picture, there's always progress, but quickly, there's not a lot of progress being made because this back and forth between them is, again, it's this cat and mouse game. It's like Tom and Jerry. That's the Democrats and Republicans. Like remember Tom and Jerry cartoon? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, but this is what it is. So we got these laws on the books when it comes to coming into this country and staying here in this country. And because the laws were treated as suggestions for 4 years, now the Trump administration has to undo what was done. And I'm going to answer questions and comments at the end, by the way. So while they're trying to undo what was done and get a whole bunch of these people like the quote unquote Maryland man out of here and the 2-year-olds that already debunked that nonsense out of here, they can't do anything to help move things forward because we got to get back to neutral, at least what the Republican Party sees as neutral, which is we got citizens here. And if you're not a citizen, you can't be here. They're just undoing all the undoing of their stuff all over again. So again, just running in circles. So a lot of people are crowing about this concept of quote unquote due process. Let's get into that. Due process. The due process in our country, we're going to get into it, but I want to make it real simple. Here's the due process, because depending on who you talk to, depending on which lawyer you debate with, and depending on which judge and what side the judge happens to lean, there's a lot of different interpretations of due process when it comes to people who have come into this country, whether legally or illegally, and what's going to happen to them if and when they are caught. The main due process in the United States of America is that if you are here without proper documentation and you are found, you will be removed. That's the due process. Now, there's a lot of details that can go into that due process, but is that the process? That's the process. Meaning I say the due process. Actually, it is a due process. You are due to be processed your ass out of this country because you weren't supposed to be here without proper documentation. Any other country in the world, you go there, you don't have proper documentation, or you overstay your visa, or you're somewhere you're not supposed to be, or even if you have proper documentation, but you're in the country doing things you're not supposed to do, they kick you out and it ain't no due process. The due process is you might get accosted by the police. You might get beat up in the paddy wagon. You get taken to the airport and you're on a coach class flight back to wherever it is you came from with a warning that you are not allowed to come back to this country for 5 or 10 or 20 years, maybe even permanently. That's literally what happens. For those of you who think I'm joking, I'm not joking. That's literally what happens. You go to another country, you don't have proper documentation, or you overstay your visa or anything like that, they will tell you, because you violated the rule that we gave you, you cannot come back here for 5 years. Or if you want to come back here, you got to apply, and maybe we'll let you come back and maybe we won't. And they'll tell you that straight up when they kick you out. Only in the United States is it so lenient to do what we're doing. And it's not that that makes it wrong that the United States is so lenient, because the United States is a space where a lot of people have come and immigrated in. And some people like to say America is a country of immigrants. I disagree. America is a country of citizens. We are not a country of immigrants. We are a country of citizens. Any of you listening to this who immigrated to this country, did you want to become a citizen? Of course you did. Some of you have become citizens. Some of you are 2nd or 3rd generation from someone who came here. Your parents or grandparents came here as immigrants, but their aim was to become a citizen. And now here you are, citizen. So when people say we're a country of immigrants as a way of defending that we should just allow more and more open immigration and more lenient immigration. I disagree. You can tell them, no, we're a country of citizens. Any immigrant who comes here, if they want to stay, their aim is to become a citizen so that you have full access to everything that citizens have access to, such as voting and other rights. But if you're just coming here as an immigrant and you are not looking to assimilate and join what we're doing here in the United States of America, nor is the government holding you accountable for assimilating and getting on the same page as everybody else who's here in the country, well, what do you expect? What do you expect to happen? I can't even be mad at the immigrant for that. During the Biden administration, because people were not being held accountable to, first of all, go through the same process that others had to go through. I've asked this question many times on these live streams. Any of you who is or knows somebody directly who tried or is trying to become a citizen, how much time has it taken? Give me a time frame, put it in the comments. Any of you who is or knows someone who is trying or has tried to become a citizen in America as an immigrant, how much time did it take or has it taken to get citizenship? Just give me a time amount on here. Look in the comments. 10 to 15 years, 8 years, 10 to 15 years, 20 years, up to 10 years, minimum 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. It takes forever to become a citizen in the United States of America. So 7 years. So when people are coming in here and they were being granted quote unquote legal status, was not citizenship, but legal status, which basically means you are legally allowed to be here. And under the Biden administration, when they were doing that, they are fast tracking these people, at least having legal status in America, when a bunch of you know people. Any of you who knows anyone who came here as an immigrant and tried to get status, legal status or citizenship, you know that it gets to a point where you're like on pins and needles because, all right, my visa is about to expire. My time that I'm allowed to be here legally is about to expire. I haven't gotten my proper paperwork yet. If I don't get this paperwork, I either got to leave and hope that I get a chance to come back because I got to win the lottery to get a visa, or B, I must stay here and just be illegal and hope I don't get caught. That's what it actually comes down to, the way it used to be when it came to the rules of becoming a citizen in the United States of America. But what the Biden administration did was say, we're going to relax all that and give these people quote unquote legal status, and we're not even going to go around looking for them. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? Human beings respond to incentives. The Biden administration offered an incentive for people to come here. We're opening it up, send as many people as you want, bring as many people as you want. And this is what other countries do. The leaders of other countries, these people are not dumb. They say, oh, look at this. Look at these people in the United States of America. They're allowing people to just come across their border. They are not vetting these people. They're granting them legal status within a week on an app. Then when the people come in there, whoever they are and whatever they choose to do, nobody is following up and checking on these people, finding out what they're doing, where they're at, if they're assimilating, if they're doing anything to contribute to society, or even if they're committing crimes. Nobody's even checking on it. Hey, what can we do about this? And again, these are leaders of other countries. They're saying, what can we do to take advantage of the recklessness of the United States of America right now? Oh, here's what we'll do. Let's go get all our gang members. Let's go get all the criminals. Let's go get all the people who we don't want in our society because they're bringing our society down. Let's put them on a plane or a bus and let's send them over to the border, the southern border of the United States of America, because it looks like America's going to let them in and let them go in America and do all this. All right, we kicked them out of here. They're no longer our problem. All right, America, thanks. All right, thanks for your country of immigrants. Go ahead, take those folks. This is exactly what Donald Trump was alluding to in 2016 when he ran. They are not sending their best. And I'm not saying that everybody who comes here as an immigrant is that type of person. What I'm saying is other countries noticed how lax things were with our border and how lax we were with vetting the people. And they said, okay, well, let's get rid of some of our trash and send them to America because America is going to let them stay. And now what's happening is that Tom Homan, Kristi Noem and company are catching these same people that got sent here by the other countries, the trash, and said, oh, no, you're not going to be our trash. We're going to send that. You're going to send you right back to where you became trash in the first place. And we're going to expedite the process of getting you the hell out of here. There's your due process, getting you the hell out of this country. And Donald Trump is doing everything necessary to make sure that the process is as smooth as possible. And the mainstream media combined with the Democratic Party is doing everything in their power to make sure the process is clunky as possible and trying to sell the American citizens on Donald Trump is doing something wrong. He's not giving people proper due process. He's kicking citizens out. They're arresting judges. Let's talk about that one. We got to make sure we address that one. Did y'all hear the story that the Trump administration is now quote unquote arresting judges? This is what we call contextomy. Those of you not familiar with the concept. And I'm telling you these things not to impress you, but to impress upon you. You can use these same things that I'm explaining to you. You can use these in your conversations with your friends, family, and coworkers. Contextomy is when someone takes a piece of information that is factually true, factually accurate, they take it out of context and they present only that piece out of context as the full argument without giving you the rest of the context. And they do this as a way of influencing and persuading the conversation while conveniently leaving out the other pieces of context that will completely invalidate the point that they're trying to make. For example, saying that Donald Trump and his administration are now arresting judges who disagree with him is contextomy, because you're pulling the situation out of context. Did they arrest the judge? Yes, they did. Now, why did the judge get arrested? Here's the rest of the context for those who don't know the story. So I believe this is in Wisconsin. I think it was Wisconsin. This judge has a person in front of her in court who they're here illegally. They have improper documentation. They're going to be deported out of the country. So some federal agents knew that this person was coming to court. They came to the courthouse. They came to the courthouse to go and get this guy. So the federal agents are at the front of the building, and the judge is addressing this person on something else. And she knows that the federal agents are at the front of the building. And the guy, of course, when you leave court, you go out the front of the building. She knows they're at the front of the building. She is antagonistic to Trump and his administration, this judge. So what she does is she instructs the man when he leaves court to go out the back of the building, go out the same exit that a jury member would go out of. She instructs him to go out the back of the building because she knew that the federal guys were in front and they were going to arrest this guy to give him his quote unquote due process to get them hell out of the country. He goes out the back of the building. Now, this guy knew that she knew, and he knew that there were federal agents out front. So when this guy goes out the back, it's not like he just walked out and went to McDonald's and got a sandwich. He walked out and he started running because he knew that he was evading these agents. He knew it and she knew it. The agents knew that they might do this. So one of the agents was hanging around the back. The federal agents are not dumb. Police are not dumb people. They were usually pretty smart. Why? They deal with criminals all day. So they know all the tricks. So they knew what this guy might try to do. So they had somebody watching the back door. Guy gets out the back door. He tries to run. Of course, he gets caught. He gets arrested. So they're doing whatever they're doing with that guy. He's probably already deported. The judge, for aiding in this process, she got arrested. Now, knowing this, isn't that story completely different when you get all the context? So you got to be very careful when it comes to things that get people emotionally triggered. They tend to use contextomy a lot because they just want to isolate the points that make them emotional and ignore the points that would invalidate their nonsense. And when it comes to Donald Trump, people who don't like Donald Trump get very emotional about him. Now, people who like him get emotional about him too. But in my experience and just knowing human nature, human beings get much more emotionally activated by negative emotion than by positive emotion. Negative energy travels faster. And why? That's just human nature. Going back to the caveman days. If a saber-tooth tiger came and you didn't get, and that negative energy didn't activate you, you would get eaten by the saber-tooth tiger. And the positive energy of, something else, wouldn't kill you if you didn't take advantage of it, but it would if you didn't take advantage of the negative energy. So that's why negativity travels faster than positivity. So people who are negative about Donald Trump are much more likely to fall victim to these fallacies than others. But anyway, let's continue. So we talked about due process. We talked about the judges being arrested. Again, all of these are psyops and hoaxes. So ask yourself what would happen. As I already said, you were caught in another country without proper paperwork, no visa, no clearance, no approval. You'll be treated rather harshly and you'll be thrown out quickly and you'll be told not to come back. All three would happen. You'd be treated harshly, you'd be thrown out quickly, and you will be told, do not come back here. And if you bought a plane ticket to try to go to that country, as soon as you got to the gate agent at Atlanta airport and said, hey, I have a flight to fill in the blank of a country to Belize, and Belize already told you can't come back, they would scan your ID and your boarding pass, and it would come up on the computer, this person is not allowed in Belize. And they would tell you, I'm sorry, sir, you can't even get on that plane. You couldn't even get on the plane, let alone could you get to the airport. You wouldn't get on the plane. They would say, you are not allowed in Belize, so I'm sorry that you bought this plane ticket, but you can't go. And that would be that. Simple as that. Now, in the United States of America, again, we've been a lot more lax. So the only reason people are making us think about all of this is because it's Trump. And we already know this. This is another form of what all of us know as TDS, which stands for Trump Derangement Syndrome. These are people who just get, what word do we want to use here? Just extra, for lack of a better term, extra angry about anything that has Trump's name on it because you have been conditioned and told this is what you're supposed to do. And you have all the quote unquote facts to logically back up your emotional decision. Oh, he did this, he did this, he did this. He got 34 felonies, and he got this SA case, and he tried to overturn an election, and he had all the files down in Mar-a-Lago, and he's deporting 2-year-old kids, and he deported the Maryland man. And what's other things he did? Grab him by the P word, and all these things that Trump did, all these logical justifications for an emotional decision. Many of these things pulled out of context, and without full context, they sound really convincing. So these are the justifications people have for having Trump derangement syndrome. And you may be annoyed by Trump derangement syndrome, but I actually appreciate it because people have Trump derangement syndrome. People like myself can come here and try to rationally and objectively explain what's actually happening. And it allows me to have the space to say the things that I'm saying. So I appreciate Trump derangement syndrome sufferers because you provide material for people like myself. So people have been programmed to go against anything that he does or says. And again, as I already told you, under Biden, people were getting deported, not as much, but people were getting deported. Under Obama, a lot of people got deported, more than Trump. And again, nobody ever talks about that. And again, similar circumstances. Only difference between what Obama was doing with his deportations and what Trump does with his deportations. And by the way, the kids in cages thing, that was under Obama. That started under Barack Obama. So y'all remember AOC with the fake photo when she had on the all white outfit and she was standing at the edge of the cage and pretending to be crying. Y'all remember that? That was hilarious. I don't believe that she tried to pull that off. But y'all remember that photo op stunt that AOC did? She's in an all white outfit and she's allegedly at the border, allegedly looking at kids behind cages, and then allegedly having an emotional breakdown. And of course, it's all photographed perfectly from a photographer with lighting and everything set up. You know, the reflector light. They had the whole thing set up for her to take these pictures. Y'all remember that? So anyway, under Obama, the same thing was happening. Only thing different is that there was not a swarm of people, not nearly as strongly, let's say, looking to make Obama look bad. There were people trying to make him look bad. Rush Limbaugh, for one, was trying to make him look bad. Bill O'Reilly, another one, trying to make him look bad. But first of all, they didn't have not nearly as many numbers of people trying to make him look bad as Trump does, nor did they have such a willing audience of people looking to hear it, which is what's happening right now, especially with social media becoming even bigger over the last 20 years. So the long game of the Democratic Party is here's what they're trying to do. So ever since Trump came into office, you remember when Elon was the hot topic. He's been pretty quiet. He's about to go back to his regular jobs. But when Elon was he was the first person up for the firing squad. Now these days, then it was Kristi Noem. Now it's Tom Homan. Pretty soon it's going to be Tulsi and RFK. And it's also been Pete Hegseth. Let's not forget about him. So what happened is the Democratic Party, they kept sending things to court. Remember all these court cases, and this judge said this, and this judge, and this circuit judge, and this judge, and then it was the Supreme Court judges and all those things, right? The reason why everything keeps going to court is any of you who works in court, any of you who works in the legal system as a lawyer, as a paralegal, as a prosecutor, as a judge, or any of you who's actually been to court as a defendant or a plaintiff, you understand that court cases take forever. Court cases are slow. One reason you don't want to end up in court is, first of all, you got to pay lawyers. Secondly, you're not doing what you could be doing with that time. And third, it's a time suck because, and I mean time suck in the long term, not just the short term. You got to be at court at 10 o'clock. I'm talking about the long term of the entirety of the case could take months or even years to play out. And here's the reason why that matters when it comes to Donald Trump is that if Donald Trump's political enemies keep using the legal system to fight against anything that he does, what does it do? It just adds time to the situation. And if they keep adding time to the situation, let's remember, Donald Trump and Tom Homan are on the clock. Their whole administration is on the clock. What clock are they on? 2028, his term is over. So the Democrats, their real long game right now, or the short-term long game, the real long game is getting as many immigrants into the country as possible and making them citizens so they can vote Democrat. That's the super long game. But there's midterm long game, not midterm, but the medium long game is let's delay everything Trump tries to do by using the legal system. There's another form of lawfare. Let's use the legal system to delay everything he wants to do. And eventually he's going to run out of time. All these things that he's actually going to do, he won't be able to do because his time's going to be up. That's the plan right now. That's what they're trying to do. That's why they keep sending him to court, because they want to delay everything that he's doing. And they keep delaying it. Again, time runs out. And then hopefully in 2028, the Democratic Party is back in power and they can undo whatever he does get done. And then they can move full speed ahead with whatever they want to do. And the issue, I would say, if you happen to be a Republican, here's what I would say is the issue for the Republican Party is that the Republicans tend to be a little bit too what word do I want to use here? Republicans tend to be a little bit too, they're not willing to play as dirty as the Democrats are. That's what I'll say. Democrat Party is willing to play dirty when it comes to Donald Trump. And the reason why the Democrat Party is willing to play dirty when it comes to Donald Trump is because they have come up with a moral justification for doing so. The Republican Party has not come up with a moral justification for playing dirty with the Democrats. And when you get people to morally justify behavior, even if it's some ridiculous behavior, if they morally believe that they are justified to do it, they will take it as far as they can possibly take it. The Democratic Party has morally decided anything and everything that we can do to slow down or stop or thwart Donald Trump, we are justified in doing it. And that's the reason why they're doing what they're doing. And if the Republican Party cannot match that energy, then the Democratic Party is going to stop and thwart a whole lot of things that Trump wants to do. That's the part they got to fix. The Republicans got to figure that one out. Because whoever wins in 2028, let's say a Democrat takes over 2028. Let's say it's Kamala Harris. I wouldn't hope that it's Kamala Harris for all citizens. I don't care what sides are on, but let's just say it's Kamala Harris. The Republican Party needs to come up with a moral justification for playing dirty with her, the same way that the Democrats have come up with the justification for playing dirty with Trump. So they're taking everything to court. I mean, y'all saw what they did to Trump last year. 4 court cases, none of which stopped him from what they were really trying to stop. 4 court cases, a bullet past his ear. Another person was attempting. All those things they were going to do to try to stop this guy, take this guy's life, put this guy in jail, bankrupt him, make everybody believe he was such a terrible guy. They did all of that and it still didn't work. He won anyway. And now they said, all right, he won anyway. We're not stopping. Why? Because we morally believe he's a bad guy. This is not he's a bad politician. This is not we don't like his policies. That's not we're way past that when it comes to Trump. That's none of this. He is just a bad person as a human being. Therefore, anything and everything we do. I like that one. Is that Elvis Presley? What is that? Thank you. So anything and everything that we do to slow him down is justified. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll play as dirty as we got to play. The Republicans got to learn how to play dirty. That's what I'm saying. If you're a Republican, if you're a delegate or a Republican politician, get this message to them. Because if they don't, the Democratic Party in the long term, between now and 2050, they're going to get more of what they want than the Republicans get. That's the way I see it as of now. It could change, but that's the way I see it as of now. So their whole game is to delay everything. And then those people who would be illegal now are going to become citizens. So that's why Tom Homan's on the clock. He understands this. Tom Homan has a sense of urgency. That's why I like his approach. So as I already said, Tom Homan, he's been preaching about we got to move with as much speed as possible. They call this warp speed, Operation Warp Speed. Why are they calling it that? Because, again, the guy in charge knows we are on the clock. Whatever we don't get done may not get done. I heard him the other day. I think he was on, what show was he on? It was either Steve Bannon or Megyn Kelly. It might have been Megyn Kelly, maybe a week or two ago. Tom Homan. And he was saying this very thing. Like, hey, if we don't get this done during this administration, it might never happen. So we all got to, don't be sitting on our hands. We got to move. We doing this now. So it's interesting to me, the Democratic Party, they decided for whatever reason, and we know the reason. Actually, I'll tell you the reason in a second. They decided to plant their flag on this whole concept of fighting for people who are in our country illegally. This is not a good look for the Democratic Party. This is not smart. Again, in 2024, they didn't learn their lesson. This is the issue. If you're a Democratic voter or you happen to work in the Democratic Party in any way, you're a delegate, here's the message you need to get over to your people is the following. After 2024, after everything that happened in 2024 leading up to the November 5th election, all the things that were done to Donald Trump, the New York case with Letitia James, the New York case with, what's that fat guy's name? Alvin Bragg. The RICO case in Georgia with the find me 11,000 votes with, what was the woman's name? Fonnie Willis. And then the Mar-a-Lago case with Jack Smith. All right, y'all tried all of that. Somebody tried to shoot the guy. We don't know who that guy was or who sent him or if anybody sent him. Then another guy was thinking about trying to shoot him. They caught him first. All of that, all it did was get more people to look at Trump more sympathetically. And he won the election. Now y'all are tripling down on what you were already doing. And now what they're tripling down on is not an actual game plan. This is the Democrats' problem right now. Democrat problem right now is that their whole game plan is whatever Trump says, say the opposite. That's their whole plan. So the Democratic Party is in reactive mode right now. And it feels good because it draws a whole bunch of attention and it draws a whole bunch of energy and it gets the people who already don't like Donald Trump to think that the Democrats are helping him out. The problem is They just tried this strategy in 2024, and you got a loud and clear result from the voting electorate that this does not work. Yet they're still doing it. Now, granted, it's only May. Today is May. We're almost damn near halfway through 2025 already. It's only May of 2025, but the Democratic Party needs a better plan. This is not a plan. What they're doing is not a plan. What they're doing is reacting. This is tactics. So there's strategy and there's tactics. And tactics means things that you do moment by moment. They're action steps. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Right now, the Democratic Party is playing whack-a-mole with Donald Trump. You know, whack-a-mole, when you go to the arcade, you get that mallet in your hand, then a little animal pops up, and you hit it, and another one pops up, and another one pops up. Then they just start popping up so fast that it overwhelms you and you lose the game. That's whack-a-mole. Right now, the Democratic Party is playing whack-a-mole with Donald Trump. Whatever he says, whatever he does, whatever he proposes, let's just go against it. Or he said that, do the opposite. Or he deported somebody. Oh, he's a Maryland man. Oh, he deported a parent with their 2-year-old kid. Oh, let's just frame that he's deported a 2-year-old. Whatever he does, they're just reacting to that by taking the opposite stance and saying, hey, everybody, look at us. We're fighting Donald Trump. That's what they're doing. Problem, they just tried this for a whole year. It didn't work. And this is all they're still doing the same thing. So any of you who's a Democrat, or you know anybody with some influence in the Democratic Party, or you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, get the message across to them. This is not going to work. Only saving grace the Democratic Party has is that Donald Trump can't run again. He can't run for a third term, or can he? Let's assume he's not going to run for a third term. All right. The good news for the Democratic Party is that whoever you go against after Donald Trump is not going to be as potent as Donald Trump. That's the challenge for the Republican Party. Good thing for the Democratic Party. But the problem for the Democratic Party is that they don't come up with a strategy of their own between now and 2028. Whoever they send to the plate in 2028 is going to lose. That's the problem. There needs to be a clear plan. There's no plan right now. And we know there's not a clear plan because you ain't heard Kamala. You heard Kamala say anything since November? She ain't really got nothing to say. I mean, she said what they told her to say. She ain't got nothing else to say. That plan didn't work. Who's the leader right now for the Democrats? Who's the front runner for 2028? Stephen A. Smith? Good luck with that. Gavin Newsom? I would say probably. Gretchen Whitmer, but she just did an event with Trump. I don't know about that one. Not a good look for her. Good look for America, not a good look for her. Shapiro, I doubt it. So it was going to come down to these two cats from California, Newsom and Kamala. Good luck, Democratic Party. That's not good. That's not good. Someone said, why do I think they don't have plans? I don't think they don't have plans. We can see what they're doing. What's their plan? Their plan right now is playing whack-a-mole with Trump. And they decided to plant their flag on let's defend anybody who comes into this country. Someone who comes to this country without proper documentation, they're going to be deported. Let's defend that. Let's just defend that. Why? Because Donald Trump is the other. Donald Trump's over here. Let's just get on the other side of that. So he's deporting people who don't belong here. We're going to somehow find a way to defend that. Here's the problem, Democrats. The American citizen wants those people out too. They may not say it out loud because there's a lot of people who don't want to, especially if they're a Democrat voter, doesn't want to seem like they're siding with Donald Trump for any reason ever. But at the same time, is like, we don't want these people here either. We don't want these illegals here. They got to go too. They got to go. They're just quietly okay with what Donald Trump's doing. They're not saying it out loud. The Republican voters will say it out loud. Democrat voters are saying it quietly behind closed doors. But the Democrat politicians are coming out loud and saying, no, you can't deport these people. That's ridiculous. This is a bad look for the Democratic Party. Again, I say again, all of us know all of this is just a show. Y'all should know this is just a show. I don't mean what I'm doing. I'm talking about the politicians. This is all a show. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, they would not care. If Kamala had won the election and she started deporting people, nobody would be talking about the deportations. Nobody would care that she was deporting people. Nobody cared when Obama was deporting people. All they're doing, again, same thing that happened to Trump in 2024. They're trying this once again, and none of it worked. And until they get a clear strategy of their own, they still got a 2028 problem. They might not have a 2026 problem. The midterm elections, just because of equal and opposite reaction. This is one of the laws of the universe. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The Democratic Party, I would bet, wins at least either the House or the Senate, maybe even both in 2026. I would bet money on that. One or the other. But 2028, not so sure. All the more reason to not trust politicians at all. Everything I'm saying here. This is the reason why we don't trust them. Especially those on the political left, because none of this is about helping the everyday citizen. This is all about playing their own political game that is all about internal Washington, D.C. politics. I've told you all this many times before. If you are new here, this is your first time hearing me. This is not my first time saying this. This is all D.C. politics. In the game of D.C. politics, did y'all see that joint address Trump gave to to Congress maybe a month or two ago? The one where he pointed out Lincoln Riley. He pointed out the girl who had gotten the girl got hit in the face by a volleyball by a boy who was posing as a girl on the girls' volleyball team, and the black kid from New York who got named an honorary member of the Secret Service. Did y'all see that address that Trump did? I talked about this the day after that address. When everything Trump said, you could see all the Republicans stood up and clapped, and all the Democrats just sat there and didn't say anything. And it's like, there's no way you couldn't clap for. He passed a law got passed about an illegal person coming in here and committing crimes. How could you, as a Democrat, not clap for that? He gave a kid with brain cancer. This black kid was like 12 years old, 13 years old. The kid literally has brain cancer. And Donald Trump said, I'm going to make you an honorary member of the Secret Service. None of the Democrats clapped. When that happened, that was a perfect picture. For those of you who have never gotten the point, many of you got the point long before that. But if you never got the point before that, you should have got the point right then when that happened. This is not about helping you. This is about how do we make sure that we do what our team is supposed to do? And if that has nothing to do with helping the citizens, so be it. This is the problem with our government. Our governmental system is all about them playing their own game. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you. Democratic Party doesn't care about helping you. They care about making sure that they put on the proper show to get certain people excited enough that they just keep winning elections. They keep winning elections. They keep their job. They keep their job. They keep their access. They keep their money. That's the whole game. In the capitalistic system, this is what we get. This is the problem with our government, is that these people shouldn't be paid. It shouldn't be a full-time job. If we eliminated that, then it would solve a whole lot of problems. You wouldn't even need term limits. You know, we talking about term limits. We don't need term limits if everybody wasn't getting paid. If you could not make money working in the government, if there was no lobbying allowed, there were no NGOs allowed, and the actual people working in the government did not draw a salary, you would not need term limits because they would leave on their own. How long are you going to keep serving for free? How long would you keep doing something for free? Now, Bernie Sanders wouldn't be in politics how old is Bernie Sanders? 80 years old? He wouldn't still be there. He'd be doing something else. And Bernie Sanders can make money doing something else. I mean, he knows how to give a speech. He can make money doing something. He can be a motivational speaker, if nothing else. Why is he still working in the government? We know why. We know why. Because he has access to money in the government that he can't access doing motivational speeches. That's the game, folks. So you want to know what's happening in our government? I just told you. This has nothing to do with the Democrats or Republicans. This is the whole system. All that being said, here's what I need to do. I need to take a restroom break. This is going to take me 90 seconds. While I'm taking this restroom break, what I'm going to do is let you listen to a short sampling of my show called Work on Your Game, which comes out every single day. It is free on all your favorite podcasting apps. I would play some Megyn Kelly, but I got to be careful playing other people's stuff. I got a warning the other day. I think I was playing somebody else's stuff. That's where I got the warning from. So let me let y'all listen to this for 90 seconds. This is just an intro to my show. And give me 90 seconds, and then we'll be back to do questions and comments. 90 seconds. Be right back.
I like the approach.
Work on your fucking game.
Everybody has related to what Dre's saying in a different way.
Work on your game.
I like the way he thinks.
Work on your fucking game.
I like the frameworks that he's put together.
Work on your game.
And I would highly recommend it to anybody that's trying to work on their game.
Work on your fucking game.
I think it's a good approach. It's a different approach, too.
Hey, you, work on your game.
It is something really good.
Work on your game. DreOplay.com. And his philosophy makes a lot of sense.
Not only work on your game, perfect your craft.
Work on your game.
He knows how to communicate in such a fabulous way.
I can't say it enough.
Work on your game. You are now tuned into the show. You learn the discipline to show up day after day to do work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you to use those personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is We are on part 5 of our ongoing mini-series, Things About Marketing That You Should Know. Let's pick up right where we left off with point number 13. If you haven't caught the first 4 parts of this series, I think you can put 2 and 2 together and know that you probably should. Number 13. All right, so let's pick up where we were. First of all, and just to make sure all of you understand, let me ask ChatGPT to give me some clear information. What are the ways that a politician, specifically those who work in Congress, can access money outside of their congressional salaries while working in Washington, D.C.? Just give me a bullet point list. So ChatGPT is going to give me this answer because I want y'all to really understand this, that the people who work in politics, they work there for a reason. It's not just their salaries. The salary is not super high. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's over is 6 figures, but it's not super high. So book deals and royalties, speaking fees, spouse's income often from lobbying, consulting, law, media, etc., blind trust and investments, stock trading. We know that. Real estate holdings. That's not really the thing. No, not that. Family-run political action committees or nonprofits, legally fuzzy. Board memberships and advisory roles after their positions. RFK talked about this a lot. Reimbursement from campaign funds, meals, travel, clothing, honoraria directed to charities. You know what that means. Insider access to investment opportunities. Again, legally fuzzy, ethically questionable. Political consulting work. They get consulting contracts. Any of you know anything about the consulting industry? It's a lot of money going through there, and a lot of it's being laundered. We'll leave that alone for now. Content deals, then any kind of teaching role. So all of these things are ways that politicians make money outside of the salary that you can Google. That's the real game that they're playing, in case any of you didn't know. So let's get to the comments. We'll start over on YouTube. Cynthia says they come over, start having kids because they get big money, free medical. I lived in Arizona 37 years and worked in the hospital there. It's ridiculous. Well, see, there you go. And see, it's a system. And that 37 years predates Donald Trump. It's the system. Jason says, Jayapal tried to make an amendment to stop funding from deporting U.S. citizens. Republicans voted against it. To stop ICE funding from deporting. Yeah, well, why would anybody vote for that? I wouldn't vote for that. So now U.S. citizens are at risk of, oh, you said U.S. citizens. Why would a U.S. citizen get deported, though, Jason? They would have to. When has that happened, and when would it happen? Calm Lager said, try to get something like this passed, but Republicans voted against it. Well, it depends on what was in it. Here's the issue with saying that Republicans or Democrats voted against the bill is that we need to know the details of the bill, not just the headline of the bill. So it's very easy to deceive people by giving them the headline. What you just did there, I don't know if you're doing it on purpose, Jason, but that's a form of context to me. You give me the headline of the bill, but not the details of the bill. And a lot of times government bills have a lot of things in them that are not announced to the public. So then it looks like it's one thing, but it's actually a whole bunch of other things that nobody knows about. And then people only talk about the headline, but they don't talk about the details because most people don't know the details. Jason said, Trump said homegrown was next. Now, look. Also, it's AJ, your mods muted me. Tell your mods that you like someone to debate with. So Jason Ward, I guess, was AJ over here on TikTok, and he got muted because he was talking crazy in the comments. Well, Jason, if you talk crazy in the comments on TikTok, you should have got muted. You deserve to get muted. And things you're saying here, I will tell you this, Jason Ward. If you assert something in my comments, don't tell me to look it up because I'm not going to look it up. So you would have to actually just build a solid argument. And if you're incapable of doing that through the comments, then forever hold your peace. But let's see what we got over here on Instagram. And by the way, for all of you, anytime you're having a conversation with someone and you are having let's say a debate or a difference of opinion, don't ever tell somebody to go look something up. What are the chances they're actually going to do it? They're not going to look it up. And if you're asserting something that you can't make clear through your words and your only defense is it needs to be quote unquote looked up, you're not really making a point. So any of you ever told somebody to look something up? Have they ever actually done it? How many times have you got somebody to look something up because you said it? Probably never. So R said, do you think white people really care about being replaced by blacks? It's a good question. My answer is yes. I don't think all white people think that, but do I think there are some, and it's not just blacks, Soul Art New York. It's not blacks. It's brown people. It's not black people. It's brown people. It's black people are already here. We already been in America. It's brown people coming from other countries who are immigrating into it. Do I think there are some white people who have an issue with that? And it's not even so much that they stay awake at night like, oh my God, they're going to replace us. I don't think people are actually thinking that literally, But are they looking around and saying, who are all these brown people? Where are they coming from? Why are they being allowed into our country? And it's more the logical side of what does it mean for the everyday person, a white person? Less job opportunities, people in our neighborhoods who we don't want here, people who are not assimilating, people who don't understand our culture. They're bringing their culture and no one is forcing them to adapt to the culture that we have here. Is that a legitimate concern? Yes, it is. As a black person, if a bunch of brown people got imported into the neighborhood that I live and they brought their own cultures, their own customs, and no one forcing them to assimilate, they're just doing whatever the hell they want to do in my neighborhood, I'll have a problem with that. It's not that I think they're going to quote unquote replace me or my kids. Is that this is my space. You can't just come into my space and do what the hell you want to do without following the rules that we already got in place. That is a legitimate concern, whether you're black, white, or any other color. If you're American, you have a right to that. So, and also, I don't like the concept of black and brown people being mixed in together. We ain't the same. Black people were already here in America when did America start? In 1776. Black people were here early. So the brown people who have come here later, I understand people mixing in black and brown as minority, but we are not all one group. There's a difference between a black American, especially if you can trace your heritage back to slavery, whether it was in America, if it was in the Caribbean, and people who came from Africa at some point, and brown people who are coming over here now. We ain't all one group. We're not mixing those together. And we damn sure ain't mixing ourselves together with the LGBTQ. So Art said, I thought Trump was going to lose the election after all they threw at him. He's Teflon for real. Well, they went too far is what they did. Last name Charles said Kanye. Yeah, right. The goal is to keep their paychecks coming in. Yes, that is the goal. And they're actually doing a good job of it. Kingworth said, do you think there are any politicians that actually care for U.S. citizens? Yes, of course. There are politicians who do care for U.S. citizens. The problem is they don't have a big enough megaphone to get to the national level and get their message across. Because if you preach people, let's say I went to go work in the government and I was talking about the things that I'm talking about, I would never get high enough on the totem pole to get my message heard by the majority of Americans because I wouldn't get, first of all, the mainstream media wouldn't like me. Secondly, the donors who put the money up to make a politician relevant, they wouldn't like me. And if you don't have those two things, there's no way you can get your message out to everybody. So you got to play the game. So that's the whole point. That's why politics is what it is. You got to play the game. And if you're not willing to play the game, you shouldn't get in it. I don't like playing these kind of games. That's the reason why I'm an independent business owner. It's the reason why I'm not corporate, reason why I'm not a college professor, reason why I'm not a politician, because to do any of those things, you must play a certain political game. I mean, politics with a lowercase p. I don't like playing those games. I like calling out people for their bullshit. And if you call people out on their bullshit working in corporate, you won't be in corporate for long. Anybody who works in corporate, please co-sign that. I know what I'm talking about. You call people out on their bullshit in academia, you won't be there for long. You call people out on their bullshit in the government, you ain't winning no elections. So this is just human nature. It's just the issue of people being people. If you want to talk the way that I talk, you have to own your own. You got to own your own business, pretty much. Especially if people start listening to you. You start getting people actually noticing what you're saying. You better be independent because you might not have too many friends. Penny says, inciting violence on national TV. What are you talking about? Dana Maria said they don't have a platform. They don't have any good quality people, and they have 21% approval. Who's that? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking about? And by the way, I'm scrolling up to the top of the comments, so I'm reading you all's comments out of order, and I don't have the context of what you're referring to. So if you're using pronouns, I need to know who you're talking about. Geeks RS says, you're looking at Trump sympathetically. You've been living under a rock all your life. I don't think anything I said was sympathetic. I tend to not be a very sympathetic person, generally speaking. I can be empathetic, but not sympathetic. Sympathetic means when someone else is feeling something, you also feel it. Empathetic means someone else is feeling something, you understand it, but you don't feel it yourself. I do have levels of empathy. I don't have much sympathy. And Geeks RS, what you're saying anyway, is more of I get what you're pointing to, but we got to go higher level in the conversation here. I've seen you here before, but let's go higher level in the conversation. In other words, you're saying if someone looks at Trump in a neutral way or looking at him in a way that is other than how you look at him, which seems to be negative, then that means that they just must be completely uninformed. And that, of course, makes you the genius. Can we go higher level than that? Crypto Punk, I appreciate you. Thank you. D Vibe said, this is the Timu Byron Donald. All right, I get that. I get the joke. But I'm better than Byron Donald. Byron Donald's better at politics. But Nelson Resto said, what should the Democratic Party do? Well, if the Democratic Party has elected officials, you got elected because you're allegedly supposed to be smart and you have a plan. So ain't that what they're supposed to do? Isn't that why they got elected in the first place? If they want my help, they can pay my consulting fee. They got the money. Bean says, stop being so submissive and saying, yes, master, this isn't the 1700s. What are you referring to? Likely Amazing said, it's really hard to listen to you right now. You don't believe that, Likely Amazing, because if you really did, you would have just left alive and not left that comment. Dana said, Dems are cooked. I don't foresee them being in office again for 20 years. I do. Dana, don't get cocky. Is that a MAGA hat you're wearing in your profile photo? I can't see it. It's too small, but don't get cocky if you're a Trump supporter, MAGA Republican. Don't get cocky. It always swings back the other way in politics. Joe Byron said, Trump got more votes when he got shot because he symbolized strength when he threw his hand up. Well, that was part of it. All of it combined got him more votes. Everything that happened in 2024 led to what happened in the election. Robin said, apparently you did not read 2025 and do not see what's happening. Robin, actually, I did. Robin Scott, realtor. I did a whole live talking about Project 2025 before the election. And I went over all the things being said in Project 2025. So let me say this for the record so everybody can hear me. I read through Project 2025 and I said, I don't have a problem with most of the stuff they were planning on doing or they were proposing. Project 2025 was not actually Donald Trump's plan. It was a document created by a think tank, which is a normal thing in the government. In DC politics, it happens all the time. People on the right and the political left, people get together and they put together a plan that they basically present to a politician and say, hey, here's a plan, a completely thought out plan for what we think you should do. Project 2025 was presented as a plan for here's what we think Donald Trump should do if he wins the election. I read through Project 2025, did a whole 2-hour live stream just like this one, talking about Project 2025. And I went through the points of the project and I said, generally, I don't have a problem with this plan. So what's your problem with Project 2025? If there's a specific issue you have with the plan, point it out. Tell us what it is. CryptoPunk said, Democrats need to dance more with Beyonce. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Beyonce spoke at a rally that Kamala had in Texas. Why she had the rally in Texas, I don't know. I don't know why Kamala wasted her time having a rally in Texas. She wasn't going to win the state. Geeks R Us said, Dems need to quit being an umbrella organization, take a stand on something, anything. Well, they are taking a stand, Geeks R Us. Again, you said people are living under a rock, so you must be living under a rock. Their stand is anything Donald Trump says, do the opposite. That's their stand. And that's the problem. So Ruby said, Trump has to get things done as fast as possible. Dems are trying to stop him. That is correct. Shauna Denise said, instead of fighting, why not try to work together for a change, honestly? Shauna, what do you think this is? Sesame Street? I'm being facetious, but I get what you're saying, Shawana Denise Baker. You're correct, but this is how politics is in America. It's bipartisan, one side against the other side, and they're fighting against each other because if they can keep fighting against each other, and each side can make it appear that they are fighting for the people by going against the other side, then they can keep people engaged, people meaning the voters engaged. That's how they keep winning elections, and that's why the game keeps going the way that it's going. And the only reason they all keep doing it is because they have access to money that they could not access if there was no money to be accessed. We got rid of lobbying, NGOs, and stopped paying them full-time salaries. All of this shit would be eliminated within a week. But in order for that to happen, it has to go through who? The same people who will we be getting rid of, also known as Congress. Tommy said, they have done this from the beginning. These tactics can be challenged. Well, who are you talking about? They could be either side saying that. D-Vibe, you have the same comment like 5 times. Now, if I keep seeing it, you're going to get blocked. Your Mom 89 said they don't tell the whole truth. Democrats only tell the side what fits their narrative. Well, welcome to politics. They all do that. That's the whole point. Carla said the policies of the Democratic Party are what people don't like. That is correct. Good morning, Carla. Kath Ann said, you are funny. Thank you. CryptoPunk says she spoke yesterday. Yeah, now what she said. that's the more important one. What did she say when she spoke? That was Kamala's problem. Not whether she spoke or not, but what she actually said. That was her problem. Dana said Bernie and AOC. Yeah, that's not a good group. I don't think they're winning an election. Bernie and AOC. Wifey Tips Daily. Thank you for telling people to tap the screen. Can we tap the screen, folks? Can we get up to 50,000 likes here? We're at 20,000. Can we get to 50,000? Kevin said he can run as VP, then have the president step down. He becomes president again. Okay, technically, Kevin, you're right, but Donald Trump's not a VP type. I don't see him running as VP to anybody. Pumpkin, aka Antoinette, said, "Great question." James said, "David Hogg." Yeah, right. Yeah, if they run David Hogg, they won't win 2028. Rub Dak said, "Pete." What about Pete? Dennis said, "How about you?" What about me? J Dub said, "Why are pretending like it's in election year?" Well, election year is next year, 2026. Carlos said, "They need to change their policies, but they won't." Well, they might. Jack said, "Are you a conservative?" Well, you just listened to me talk for an hour. Am I conservative? Am I a conservative, meaning like politically? No, I have no political affiliation. I'm just telling you what I actually think, just looking at this as just a regular everyday citizen, is how I talk about politics. Now, when people listen to that, some people will say, well, you're on the left, or you're on the right, or you're a MAGA, or you voted for Trump, or I have no political affiliation. I've never claimed any. So I just tell you how I actually see things. So I don't know what that makes me. Mamos, thanks for the follow. Ashley Whirlpool Hill Candles, thank you for the follow. It's a long screen name. Dana said, Democrats will put every other country and person above America, and that is a fact. Well, the Democrats do seem to be focused on the global game more than the national game. So I get your point. Beautiful Love said, do the American citizen want to be deported because that's what they voted on? Okay, well, show me when they start doing it. Again, that's contexting me, what you just did. J-Dub said he's deporting people that are here legally. Why don't have a problem with that? Like who? Show me when that happened with, it had to be, again, full context. In full context, that's not happening. B. Cow said, can you defend the absolute tanking of the economy? Let's hear this. How's your investments? Well, first of all, that's a Socratic trap, what you did there. So all of you, I want y'all to start noticing these because I'll point them out. This is a Socratic trap when you're asking me a question that has nothing to do with the subject, first of all. Secondly, you're asking me a question that takes me off of the topic of what we're talking about here today, which is the comments that I'm reading. As far as the economy, when that whole economy thing happened, which was maybe about 3 weeks ago, I did a live stream just like this one talking about it. So BCalf23, go on my YouTube channel and look it up, and you can listen to everything I had to say about it back then. And as far as my investments, I talked about that day as well. If you are a long-term investor, then any type of short-term dips in the market don't affect you because you're not doing anything. You're not panicking. You're not panic selling or panic trading or doing anything. So when all that stuff was happening, I didn't do anything. I kept doing the same thing I always do. Whether the market is super up or super down, my behavior is exactly the same. I'm not a day trader. Cathan said Republicans will win. Largest tax cut bill for the working people. They will win what? Rub Dak said, we need to stay on top of visas. We lose track of who's here. Yeah, you can say that twice. Shithead Goat said, why would she deport people that are here legally? Well, it depends what you mean by legally. Zeus said, are you pro-Trump? What does that even mean? Socratic trap. It's like asking me, do I support Trump? What do you mean by that? Those were all legal deportations. Legal meaning the people should have been deported. Mamo said, why are Democrats missing in action right now? Well, it depends on what type of action. They are very active on certain things. You saw Cory Booker with his 25-hour speech. That was a lot of activity. So it depends on what type of action we're talking. China, good to see you here. Texas for Change said, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Well, every day there's a bunch of people who think that, and every day there's a bunch of people who think the opposite. So, all right, welcome to the party. Jack Bogwall said, Obama's deport numbers are off the chart versus today. Well, Obama did a lot of deporting. Samantha said, so you don't realize you are performing right now? I very much realize that. I am a performer. So, yes, I do know I'm performing right now. Lily Rose shared the live with more than 5 friends. Thank you, Lily Rose Homestead. Coach Angie said, didn't Obama have the highest deportation rate? They were silent then. Yes, he did. B. Carl said, you got absolutely sold by Trump. What I get sold? I'll tell you what Trump did sell me. He sold me a couple of his books. I read 3 or 4 books by Donald Trump. So he did sell me that. And Donald Trump's a salesperson. So he sold a lot of people. He sold you too. Because B. Carl, you are here talking about him. So he sold you on giving him your attention. So we all got sold by Donald Trump. If you want to do it that way. King of Kings, thanks for the follow. Texas said, you're spreading misinformation. Well, if I really was spreading misinformation, trust me, TikTok will let me know. I've been suspended 9 times on TikTok for misinformation. So if I really was, they will let me know very quickly. Andrea Herbalsheim, thank you for the share. The share. Stubbalicious said, y'all Dems are delulu. These comments are so ignorant. Well, see, here's the thing, Stubbalicious. The Democrats say the same thing about Republicans. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but everybody says it. Can we get some more likes on the live, please, folks? We are at G Black. Thank you for the roses. Can we get to 30,000? Maybe 50,000 is too ambitious for y'all. I asked for 50, but let's get to 30. We're at 27. Zeus said, you talk too much. I agree. I do talk too much. I mean, that's the reason I'm on an hour and a half of this live stream. I'm about to keep going. Jack said, ivermectin. What about it? J-Dub said, that girl was a horrible volleyball player. The return was not even half the speed of a good player. I don't know if it was or not. I don't know how to judge it. I don't play volleyball, J-Dub. But you know, I think you know very well that's not the point. Do you not? I think you understand that's not the point. So Make It Rain said, absolutely following you, man. Keep speaking truth. Thank you, sir. I think if you're a man, thank you. Rub Dak said he's a marketer playing on emotion. Everybody's a marketer, Rub Dak. Just some people are good at it and some people are bad at it, but everybody's a marketer. You can't opt out of the marketing game if you want to get your opinion out to the world. Singularity said, who cares about Democrats or Republicans? A lot of people, because they're the ones making a lot of decisions that affect everyday citizens. Shithead said, what has Trump done that benefits the lower and middle class? What has Trump done that benefits the lower and middle class? It's an interesting question, interesting framing of a question. I would answer your question with the question is, what did Joe Biden do? What did Obama do? What did George W. Bush do? And generally, the answer to the question is, I mean, the question itself is completely irrelevant, because what I would say to lower and middle class people, and I've already said this, I did a whole 2 hours on this as well, and a 4-part series on my masterclass, Apple and Spotify. You can find it. It's called Work on Your Game, talking about this exact subject, which is the following: that if you are a lower or middle class person, you should not be sitting around waiting on the government to do anything to help you. And if you are waiting for the government to, quote unquote, do something for you, you're already in a precarious position. Because I just explained to you how the political machine is really a circle jerk about them doing things to and for and about each other, not to and for and about you. So what has Trump done for the lower and middle class is irrelevant, because the president is not responsible for the people. The people are responsible for themselves. It's just a lot of people tend to buy into the concept that the politicians are supposed to, quote unquote, do something for you. No, they're not. The fact that you think they are is the problem. That's the psyop from the very beginning. And politicians do not help you in understanding this, because politicians get on their soapboxes and they get on the campaign stumps. Trump and people on the right, as well as people on the left, all politicians in America do this. They get up there and they tell you, if you vote for me and or support me, I'm going to do the things that are going to solve all the problems that you have. Just vote for me and then let me take care of it. That is a lie. That does not work. This is the reason why I tell you all, do not depend on the government. Do not look at politics to be anything other than what it actually is. And all politicians are liars. I've been telling y'all this over and over again for the last 9 months. I've only been doing these live streams for the last 9 months, but I've been saying this forever. But let's just stick to the last 9 months. Your job is to take care of yourself. And then whatever a politician does that might help you, cool, you can take it as what we call gravy. It's extra. It's like finding money on the ground. But you shouldn't be sitting around waiting for them to deposit you a check. That's not a good idea. The government is not responsible for you. If you ever find yourself under the care of the government, you have messed up somewhere along the way. So that's my answer to your question. What has Trump done for lower and middle class? Hopefully he does absolutely nothing. Same thing he should do for the upper class. He should do nothing for anybody. Just get out the way. The government's job, in case any of you don't understand, the job of the government is to protect your rights. Key term, protect your rights, not grant you rights. Protect or defend your rights. And otherwise, get the hell out of the way. Thank you for getting us to 30,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 40,000? Kelly, I see you over there with the gifts. Thank you for the donut. The government's job is to stay out of the way. So when you hear people say limited government, often that is the one of the strong cries, rallying cries of the Libertarian Party, is that they want as limited government as possible. I am a big fan of that. So I have some ideas, like I'm not 100% against all abortions for all reasons. I do have some things that I think people would say are conservative views, and I also believe in completely limited government, which is a libertarian view. So what am I? If people want to try to peg me politically, what am I? Because I have some things that I could take from each group and say, I agree with that, and I disagree with those things. So I am a big fan of limited government. The government should not have nearly as much influence as it has. And I just told y'all what to do about it. Well, what could be done about it. Y'all can't do it. I can't do it either. But take the money away. You took the money away, all these people in the government would go away. Bernie Sanders would be gone. AOC would be gone. Trump might still be there because Trump already had money. But all the rest of these people, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, none of these people would be there if it wasn't any money to be made. Because they weren't doing, they have only been doing politics. So they just kept moving up to make more money. Cathan said, American people stand with Trump. Well, they should because he's the president. So what else you going to do? T. Holder, good morning. Chris said they're trying so hard to keep us divided going into overdrive. Well, they're succeeding, Chris. They're not trying, they're succeeding. D. Vibe said Republicans care about the American people. How? Well, ask them. I think everybody who is in politics, I think on the surface at least, cares about the American people. They just have different ways of going about it. Now, you may not agree with their method, but I don't think anyone's trying to hurt the American people. I mean, what do you gain from doing that? I think they're trying to help themselves more than they're trying to help the people, but they are trying to help, I believe. China said Bernie's 83 years old. All right, well, hopefully we all have Bernie's energy when we're all 83. Robert said corporation elite keeping the plebs fighting each other. Yes, that is exactly the goal. That's the whole goal, folks. So y'all don't understand what Robert Reviews said here is exactly the point of politics. All they want to do is keep the everyday people arguing with each other over Democrats versus Republicans. And the whole time they're getting all the money. They're making off with the money while everybody else is arguing about what this side is doing versus what that side is doing. This is all a big show. It's like theater. It's like going and watch a TV show or a theater show. That's what politics is in America. Cathan said Trump bringing $8 trillion coming into U.S. with big companies watched yesterday. Okay, great. Brian said Bernie was walking the streets with MLK for your freedom. Oh, well, fuck out of here. He was walking the streets with MLK for my freedom. We already had freedom when MLK was walking around, Brian. So what are you talking about? We already have freedom. I think you mean civil rights. Holly Lucille, thank you for the follow. James said Congress will never vote themselves out of their cushy jobs. That's the problem. Only way we get term limits is either Congress votes for it or you get this special circumstance where the states pull Congress to the carpet and make this happen. But it's so rare because it never happens. Lily Rose said, follow the money. Yes, exactly. You ain't got to follow it. It's right there in our faces. We know where the money's at. Right there in Washington, D.C. Carla, yes, Bernie's 83. Shithead said, why hasn't the pay wage gone up? Pay wage for who? I think it goes up for certain people and it doesn't go up for others. So who are you talking about? Holly Lucille said, you are spot on. Thank you. Will Guy said, free. Promises tend to make politicians more money after they out of the game. That's correct. Crypto said, Bernie taking millions in bribes. Well, I can guarantee everybody Bernie makes a lot more money than whatever his government salary is. That I will say. Cathan said, millions of jobs coming. Hopefully. Cathan said, we watch Rumble. I'm on Rumble right now. Shout out to Rumble. I don't like watching too many videos on Rumble because they run too many ads. I understand why they run ads, but YouTube is a much smoother platform. I understand why, but I do appreciate Rumble because YouTube, especially during 2020, YouTube was on some nonsense. They've cleaned it up a little bit, but they were on some nonsense. Traditional, good to see you here. Shithead said Trump is going to create more jobs by firing everyone and imposing tariffs. Well, who's he firing, first of all? And the tariffs, the long term of the tariffs, I've already talked about this. The long term of the tariff is to encourage more jobs to be here in the United States of America. And that may require some short term pain for long term benefit, which is the law of the universe. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Catherine said tariffs are working, don't watch CNN. Yes, this depends on what you mean by working. I do agree with not watching CNN. Crypto said, my guy is smart ASF. Thank you. Catherine said, Google and watch the White House. All the big companies were there. All right, that's fine, Catherine, but we don't know if what they're telling us on camera is actually the truth. You gotta watch what they are doing when they're not on camera as well. Shit said, how is Trump helping the average American? He's not responsible for helping the average American. He's responsible for staying out of your way. You're responsible for helping yourself. The president's job is not to help the average American. Again, they preach that they're going to help you, but that's not really their job. Their job is just get out the way. And if you end up in a fucked up situation, that's because of you, not because of them. Day 3, thank you for the follow. Cannon said AJ was muted because he put the same comment 10 times. Yes, and he should be muted. So Jason Ward, I don't know if you're still over there, but don't put the same comment. Don't spam my comments, folks. Liberty Bell 9090 said pink ties aren't in, bro. Liberty Bell, let me take a guess that you don't probably dress in a suit and tie on a regular basis. Let me just make that guess. Tell me if I got that right or wrong. Let me see where we are in the comments. I lost my spot here. Charles M. Jenkins Jr., good morning. Joe Byron said, oh, was there a pinned comment? I didn't see it if there was. Joe Byron said, I'm white. I believe this is true, but at the same time, I think every culture does this. King Works on Instagram said, what do I mean by get out the way? Meaning have as little meddling in the affairs of the everyday citizen as possible. That's what limited government means. It means the government has as little say or influence over the affairs of the everyday citizen as possible. That's called limited government. Right now, we have very, very big government. The government is in our business way too much. We want the government in our business as little as possible. Get the government out of the way. The issue is, and I would put this more on the political left than the right, but the right is guilty of it as well, is that most of the leaders on the political left, guess what they are? What are their careers? They're career politicians. So if we limited the government and limited the reach and the influence of people in the government, that would make all the people on the political left completely irrelevant. That's why they don't like the concept of limited government, because that means they would be limited, which means they would no longer matter. And this is the reason why somebody like Trump was so needed in government, because he does not need the government to exist for him to be relevant. If there was no government, you would not know who Bernie Sanders or AOC or Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or Obama or who's other people, any but Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. You wouldn't know who any of these people were if it wasn't for the largesse of the United States government. If it wasn't for the largesse of the United States government, you would still know Donald Trump because he was known outside of politics. All these other people are only known because of politics, because of how big it is. If we limited it and made it a lot smaller, all of these politicians would have to go get a regular job and actually contribute to society in a serious way, the way all of you have to do on a daily basis to pay your bills. These mofos just sit in D.C. and they act like they're trying to do something to help you when they're really just lining their own pockets in ways that many people don't know about. That's the problem with the government in general. That's why I agree with the libertarian stance of limited government. So hopefully that answers your question. Liberty Bell said spewing hate. What hate am I spewing? User says, so Guy Brown now scared? What does that even mean? CryptoPunk said, trying to make black struggle with LGBTQ is ultimate scam. Well, they did it. They kind of succeeded. The LGBTQ came and hijacked the whole minority movement thing, whatever you want to call it. They shoehorned themselves in with DEI. DEI was ostensibly created as a continuation, get access to opportunities that they otherwise were being ignored from by white people who just didn't want to look at black people. So I understand why affirmative action started, and I understand what DEI was supposed to be about. I generally don't agree with the concepts, but what I really don't like about DEI and affirmative action, let's just say DEI, is that it was supposed to be for helping black people, and all of a sudden we started mixing in brown people who are not black, who can't trace their roots back in the United States of America or to slavery, and LGBTQ people. What y'all got to do with this? We're not all in the same group. Black people and LGBTQ people are not in one group. Now, just if you happen to be LGBTQ and you're black, that's cool for you, but that does not make all of us one big group. We are not one big group. Black people is black people, period. Brown people is brown people. And LGBTQ is LGBTQ. That's what it is. So I want to make sure that there's a clear line of delineation between these groups. We are not all the same. And I don't like the fact that they've grouped them all together. I don't even play those games, those identity games. I don't play those games at all. However, just looking at it from the outside looking in, meaning looking at the people who play those games, y'all screwed up, any of you who's in that group, by allowing brown people and LGBTQ people to take the struggle of black Americans, which is a real thing, historically documented, that everybody agrees happened. They took that struggle and they're able to lump themselves in like they're part of it. Like, what y'all got to do with this? The people with the rainbow flag, what y'all got to do with what black people in America went through 200 years ago? Not a damn thing. So how y'all allowed them to put themselves in a group like they part of this, I don't know. But hey, that's what y'all wanted to do. Now y'all got to fix the problem. Good luck. Paul said DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. What about them? User said, LOL, dudes never worked in academia. Who you talking about? Me? I have never worked in academia. If you're talking about me, you're right. CryptoPunk said, how do we read your book? Well, I think you're asking, how do you get the book? How do you read the book? I think you already know the answer to how to read a book. But how to get the book, send me a DM. My assistant will send you a link. Thing is, TikTok doesn't allow you to have clickable links in the DMs, but you can go to my most popular book right now is this book right here called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from Amateurs. You can get this book for free. Just cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. Moderators, one of you in there can put thirddaybook.com and pin it as a pinned comment for a second so people can see it. Thirddaybook.com. So third day and the word book.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping and I'll ship you a physical copy of this book. That right now is the most popular book we got. Dennis said, you should have got you some more water when you went to the restaurant. I got the water right here. I got a water filter from this company called AquaTrue. This is a great filter. So I drink like 8 liters of water a day. So I got the water filter over there to my left. I got the glass water bottle right here. So we're always good. Always hydrated. I'm in South Florida, so you got to stay hydrated. Paul said, yo, I'll be putting on a suit and talking white. Are you talking about you or are you talking about me? Stacy D said, you're correct. In corporate, 20 years. Yes, I know. I got a lot of people who are in corporate who are coaching clients of mine. Preston said, calling people on BS in corporate. You put the number 100, Preston, but I wouldn't advise that you do that. If you want to keep your job in corporate, you better be quiet. That's the thing about corporate. You can't go voicing your opinion in corporate. You got to learn how to keep your opinions to yourself. As you all can see, I'm not good at keeping my opinions to myself. That's why I'm not corporate. Dennis says, I like listening to you. You're well knowledgeable. Thank you. I appreciate it, Dennis. Paul said, yo, bro, just define empathy wrong. Call the cops. Shithead said, there's nothing positive about what Trump has been doing for the country. All right, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. What do you want me to do? Paul said, I'm going to go to the dollar store, buy a shirt and tie. I'll be having a live on TikTok. Yo, you know. I don't know. Do you call yourself ridiculing me? Does the dollar store sell shirt and ties? If so, let me see what they got. Send me a picture. Dolly MAK said, empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Yeah, is that directionally what I said? Let's see. Sharon said, and you think it is fine. What are you referring to? Shithead said, do you support the defunding of the Department of Education? Yes, I do. Yes. I support the defunding of the Department of Education. Yes. I did a whole live stream on that as well. Any question y'all ask me about anything that has to do with Trump, I've probably already discussed it. Maybe you haven't heard me discuss it. Yes, I do support the defunding of the Department of Education. And I did a whole 2 hours, just like this one, explaining why I support it. In short, education system in the United States of America is a failing one. It only teaches you to retain and regurgitate information, not to actually learn anything or develop any knowledge of your own. And if the federal Department of Education goes away, first of all, what that means is limiting the government, because the Department of Education is federal. So if we eliminate the Department of Education instead of the federal government deciding how education goes, now Missouri has their department, Arizona has their department, Michigan has their department, Florida has their department. Each state gets to decide how they want to run things, which is how the United States is supposed to go anyway. That's why it's called the United States. Each state has their own thing, what they want to do. And then on a few issues, we come together, united, and decide on that. But it's not supposed to be the government itself telling all the states, here's what you have to do. That's not the way it was supposed to go. It's supposed to be each state does what they want to do based on things that we vote for. And then on a few issues, not what we have now, a few, we have federal laws. That's how it's supposed to be. So the Department of Education should not exist. And yes, it should be completely eliminated. So hopefully that answers your question. And I did a whole 2 hours on that. If you want more context, go find the video. It's on YouTube. Then it said, Democrats or Republicans are like a game of chess. They're more like checkers. But yes, close enough. MoneyGram said, do you want to get rid of Congress? No, I don't want to get rid of Congress. They just shouldn't be having access to money. They can still be Congress, but they would be like board members at a corporation. And if you know anybody who works on the board at a corporation, that what they do is they come meet a few times a year, make a few decisions. They all get a stipend for being on the board. You might get $5,000 or $20,000 for being a member of the board, but you don't make enough money that's the only thing that you do. you still got to go do something else in addition to being a member of the board. You get a little bit of money because you're contributing, but you don't make enough money that this can be your full-time job. And if you did that to the people in Congress, now they would have to go actually do some real work and provide real substance, and they be working amongst real people who they're allegedly representing, but they're all living in DC, but they're representing fucking Montana. It doesn't make any sense. So that's the whole issue. So it's not about getting rid of Congress. It's about taking the money away so that these people had to do some actual real work and provide real value in real life. Sharon said, that's not true. She said a lot. Who you talking about, Kamala Harris? I've yet to hear Kamala Harris say a lot in any speech. But if there is one, please tell me where she spoke. Was that Emerge Americas that she allegedly said a lot? I doubt it. But let me go. Maybe if that's the one you're talking about, just confirm. And I'll take some time to listen to it. Trace said, Congress in control of itself is why we need the Second Amendment. Yes, exactly. That is correct. And the president, too. For the president as well. We need the Second Amendment to keep all of them in check. James said, can we talk about the Jays? Not really. That's not the topic here today, but bigger picture answer, not really. Trilogy said, crypto is great. I retired. LOL. I don't believe you. Cass said, we lost 160K and got it all back within a week. So you didn't really lose it then, Kath. I mean, it's not like you actually lost the money. So you lost the paper value, and then the paper value went down, then the paper value went back up. Is that what you're referring to? That's what I was telling people when it happened. I said, if you don't do anything, then nothing happened. You didn't lose any money, you didn't gain any money. And I saw people they were going on TV and interviews like, yeah, I lost $10,000. Like, you didn't lose shit. You didn't sell anything, so how'd you lose money? If you didn't sell anything, you didn't lose any money. You lost theoretical value on paper, but that's not really losing money. It's kind of like you buy a house for $100,000 and the value goes up to $200,000. You didn't make $100,000. Show me the money. Show me the $100,000. You ain't got it. So you didn't make anything till you actually do a transaction, a financial transaction. Vivian said, I think you are one of the smartest people on any platform. Thank you. Well, thank you, Vivian. I appreciate that compliment. I agree. I am one of the smartest people on the platform. Thank you. Kelly said 100K. All right, we're at 48K. Can we get to 50K, folks? We got 10 minutes here. Can we get to 50K? Can't wait, said, I love your content. Thank you. Thank you. Chris said, where's your super suit? What is a super suit? I don't know what that means. Courtney, #1 gifter badge. Congrats. Your mom, 89, said, thank you for speaking neutral truth. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the hand hearts, Courtney. Crypto said, I don't get Spotify because I'm traveling. What does that mean? Spotify is not available outside of the country. You get Apple Podcasts? I'm on both. Title gifter of Rose. G Black got the #1 title gifter of Rose. I didn't know they had categories for that. G Black, congrats. 70 roses. Thank you, G Black. Chris, thank you. Daniel Lee, appreciate you. Thank you for coming in. Come back tomorrow. Rub Dak says, the government defending truly our rights. I think you got that a little backwards, but I get what you're trying to say there. Kelly, thank you for the galaxy. Is the government defending our rights? I think generally I would say that they are. I mean, usually I don't need to go to the government for anything, and I like to keep it that way. But are they not defending your rights? What are you thinking of? Kelly, yes, limited government. Geeks R Us said that makes you an independent. Well, see, here's the thing, Geeks R Us. A lot of people are claiming independent these days, so it's kind of hard to. I don't even like to say that because it's almost like I am an independent, but it almost sounds like a cop-out because so many people are saying that now. Like, for example, a lot of people who were shilling for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden over the last 4 years, after they lost in November, a bunch of people start claiming that they're independent. I'm like, when did Stephen A. Smith become independent? Stephen A. Smith was riding for the Democratic Party, and then after Kamala lost, he's like, oh, I'm an independent. So then he brings on people like, who do he have on his platform? He had Megyn Kelly on his show. Stephen A. Smith's one of these quasi pseudo-intellectual Negroes who tries to act like he's smart. And to people who are not very smart, he sounds smart. He doesn't sound smart to me, but he sounds smart to people who have no intellectual depth. And he's a guy who has been pushing for the Democratic Party. He works for the Democrats. He works for ESPN. ESPN is owned by Disney, and Disney is a heavily left-leaning organization. Y'all saw what they did with the LGBTQ at Disney World? Stephen A. Smith works for them. He's one of their highest paid employees. He is Democrat, but he tries to claim independence so that he can have some credibility with people who are not on the political left, especially after Kamala lost. Had she won, he would have been saying the same shit he was saying before. And listen to what he was saying during the time of the virus. Any of you who watch sports, what was Stephen A. Smith saying at the time of the virus? He was trashing anybody who didn't get the jab. Now he's independent. Yeah, right. So I'm saying all that, Geeks R Us, to say that, yes, I am independent. The thing is, so many people are claiming independent that me saying that puts me in the same group as those clowns, and I don't want to be grouped with them. So that's why I'm actually telling you I can agree with certain things from certain groups so that you better understand my position. Let's see, where was I? All right, we got 12 minutes here, so we might go a little bit past 10 o'clock, just based on my timer. Where was I? I lost my spot. I was somewhere in here. I lost my spot. Here we go. Mr. Ohio J. We always had to be classified as left, right, liberal, etc. Why can't I just be me? Exactly. I agree. Big Blue said politicians only talk about who's to blame, never talk about solving problems. Generally, yes. Well, they say the problem is the person that they blame. So they kind of weave them together. That's what they do. Mez said, I want to know how Congress can get a pension after just 5 years of service. Because they voted for it. How you think? All right, they make the rules. My Crazy Life said, I like your tie. Thank you. Can we get the 60K likes, folks, in the next 10 minutes, please? We're at 50K. Can we get the 60? Stacy said, I wish people understood no one is coming to save you. It's up to you. You're responsible for you. Yes, ultimately, that's really what it is for everybody. The problem is, Stacy, the reason I can't be a politician is that if you go in front of the masses of people and talk like that, you are not winning an election. That's not happening. If I go in front of the masses of people and talk to them the way I'm talking to y'all, I'm not getting any votes. I won't win. I'll lose to the other person because the other person is going to tell them I'll solve all your problems. So you got me over here saying you got to solve your problems. And my opponent is saying I will solve all your problems. Who are you going to vote for? You're going to vote for the one who makes it sound easy, which is I'll solve all your problems. You ain't got to do nothing. I'm going to tell you what work you got to do. They're going to tell you don't do any work. Just vote for me and I'll do everything. They're lying. But is that going to persuade the majority of people? Yes, it is. This is the reason why politics is politics. Kelly says, sharp dressed man. Thank you. Carol said, dreamers are not criminals. They were children when brought here and don't deport. Well, Carol, we already addressed that. If you are born here, or you're saying dreamer, so you're talking about somebody who was brought here as a child, but they didn't have proper documentation. If you don't have proper documentation, you're here illegally and you get kicked out, period. You can call them whatever you want to. And calling them a dreamer makes it seem like you're a bad person by getting rid of a dreamer. But if you don't have proper documentation, you get kicked out. That's the rule. Carol said they were brought here. They are people that aren't wanted by either country. No, that's not our problem, though. Carol, I don't know. I'm assuming you're an American citizen. You're saying here. Okay, so let's say you're in your house, right? And somebody who lives 2 towns away from you gets kicked out of their house. So now they're functionally homeless and they come knock on your door. Do you allow them in because they weren't wanted where they come from? Do you allow them in? The answer is, of course, you don't. So why does America have to allow them in? That doesn't make it okay. I have that. What happened where you come from is not my business. If someone comes, knocks on my door and says, hey, sir, can I stay in your house because I kicked out of my house? I'm like, hell no, you can't stay in my house and get the fuck away from my house. My family's in here. We're going to have a problem if you come back. That's what I'm going to say to him. I'm not responsible for your problems. So if people have a problem in another country, that does not make us the rest haven for the rest of the world. But we've been acting like it, which is why all these people keep trying to come over here. But Donald Trump sent a clear signal. We ain't that no more. That's what's happening. Robin said veterans who served and sacrificed should not have benefit services and jobs / Generally, I agree with that. Carol said they are from Mexico, but are educated in U.S. and are Americans. Well, do they have proper documentation, Carol? I mean, you're saying these things, you're kind of talking around the point. If they got proper documentation, there's nothing to talk about. If they don't, then there's also nothing to talk about. So which one is it? Donna Basel says, smart man, I'm glad I found you. Me too. Shout out to TikTok. I think I was on the For You page today. Was I on the For You page today? TikTok? Put FYP in the comments if you found me on the For You page. I think I was on the For You. So me and TikTok, we're in a good space right now. We were not in a good space for some time, but right now we're in a good space. Charlene said, you look nice. I love these colors. Thank you. Positive Thought said, we are not the same. That is correct. Carla said, it won't let me pin it. No, I don't know. Maybe they won't let you put a link in there. All right, well, I appreciate you trying. Thanks for trying, Carla. We're at 59,000. Lahek said, teacher here, defund the DOE. Yeah, so there you go. You got to vote from a teacher. We don't need the DOE, folks. We just need state departments. We don't need the federal department. Max said, why do people come to this platform and try to discredit your knowledge? Well, because they disagree with what I'm saying. I understand it. I mean, this is the internet. So y'all just got to understand. I've been publishing online for 20 years, so I understand that when people hear something that they don't like, they usually will not address the point. They try to address the person. It's normal human nature. The internet just allows people to do it on a widespread basis, I guess, for lack of a better term. Kelly said, enact term limits and eliminate withholdings. Yes. The thing is, they got to do it to themselves. That's why it doesn't happen. James said, Congress used to get paid per diem, just like you're saying. Yes, exactly. That's the way it's supposed to be. They should just get paid when they show up and do some work, and then they got to go home and do some real work. The problem is they get paid enough that they don't have to do any real work. TK Drozy said, great press secretary. Who are you talking about? Talking about the actual press secretary? What's that woman's name? What's the press secretary's name again? I forget. I've seen her before. Carolyn Levitt. Yeah. She seems to be doing a pretty good job. Rub Dak says, I was a little put off at first, but I kept listening. Well, I'm glad you stuck around. Thank you. Kelly, shout out to the gift level you got. I'm a Sunshine. Thank you for the follow. User said, brother, I think you can do great things for this country because you speak from your heart. Well, every politician claims to be speaking from the heart. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, they all claim to speak from the heart. What's the guy's name? Bernie Sanders, AOC. Remember AOC with her fake picture at the gate with the white suit on, like she was looking at the kids in the cages? What's the other chick? The black chick from Texas always talking crazy. Crockett, they all claim to speak from their heart. So I don't have anybody paying me to say a certain thing. All of them do. Well, a lot of them do. Let me say, not all of them. A lot of them do. Memo said the analogy is wrong. Strangers knocking at your house is not the same as someone claiming asylum. Well, she didn't say asylum, Memos. She didn't say asylum. She just said they're dreamers. They came here. So where was I? Carol Ann said, I've been around over 80 and you're one of the most intelligent people. Thank you. I appreciate it. Memo said, why don't you run for political offices? Well, several reasons. First of all, I don't like playing political games where I got to pretend to like people who I don't like. And if you work in politics, you have to do that because it's too many people. Secondly, if I'm going to run in politics, I need people to fund my campaigns. Even Trump, who's noted to be a billionaire, still takes funding money because he doesn't want to spend his own money. And if you take money from other people to fund your campaigns, then that means they kind of, sort of, in some ways, get to tell you what to do. I am strongly against people telling me what to do. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. Third, I would be having a ceiling on how much money I can make if I work as a politician, where I have unlimited income potential as an entrepreneur. Fourth, if I'm going to be a successful politician, I would have to lie to people in order to win elections. I just gave you an example of how I would have to lie. If I told people the truth, I wouldn't win. I would have to lie to you to win an election. And I don't like lying to people. I mean, every human lies every now and then, but I won't have to lie for a living. So those are the reasons why I wouldn't be a politician. Dr. T's good stuff. Thank you. William said, your articulate insight and perspective are appreciated. Thank you, sir. Donald said, people can change their minds. That's a fact. Yes, we're at 60K now. We're at 63. Can we get to 70, folks? We got literally 4 minutes. I usually don't go past 10 o'clock. My content went a little long, so we got literally less than 5 minutes. Can we get to 70K, folks? I'm going to read the rest of these comments. Rodney said, I enjoy listening to you. You're the best since Limbaugh. Shout out to Rush Limbaugh. He died, right? Rest in peace to Rush Limbaugh. Daily MAK said they worried about everyone but American citizens. It seems like it at times. Donna K said, are you a Christian? I'm not a regular. No, I'm not. I don't have any religious affiliation nor political affiliation. So, yes, I was on the FYP. Shout out to the FYP. So, TikTok, thank you. TikTok got me on the FYP again. All right, so TikTok, we're in a good space. Thank you, TikTok. Sometimes I'm not in a good space with TikTok. So, right now, it looks like we're doing good. Let's see. Angela said, you're one of my favorite lives to visit regularly. Thank you for being a voice of reason. You're welcome, Angela. Thank you. Mamos, I answered that one. Yeah, Carolyn Levitt. Isn't it Carolyn with a K? Is their first name with a K or a C? I thought it was a K. John said, made it to 60K. I love everything you're saying. Thank you. Yeah, we're at 66. Can we get to 70, folks, in the last 3 minutes? CT Gino said, you're a good biased speaker. What does that mean? Donna said, Donald Trump doesn't like anyone on the left. Well, why should he? Shit. If you were Donald Trump, would you like anyone on the left after everything they've done? Tommy said, love your content. Mamo said, your explanation does expose politics to totally useless. Yes, well, it's not totally useless. The thing is, here's the type of people who should work in politics, is the type of people you see. And I'm not talking Trump. I'm talking all the rest of them. The people who only have done politics and you don't know them for anything else, they should work in politics because these people do not have ways of providing substance to the marketplace other than politics. Like, let's say, how much does the average person in Congress earn? What's the average salary in Congress? Any of you know? This is going to be the last point that I'll make, because I want y'all to understand this. What is the average salary of someone who works in Congress, the Senate, or the House of Representatives? I think it's somewhere around like 150 to 200K. So if you're a rank and file member of the House of Congress, you get 175,000 a year. The Speaker gets 225,000. The majority and minority leaders get a little under 200,000. And they're set by law. They haven't changed since 2009. So you can get, let's just say, between 170 to 200K. Let's just say $200,000 a year working in Congress. That's not something to sneeze at. $200,000 puts you in the top. I think it's like top 10%. $200,000 per year puts you in the top what percentage of income earners in the United States of America? Last time I looked, there was around about the top 10%. According to ChatGPT, that puts you in the top 5%. So if you're on 200K, you're a top 5% earner in America. Oh, no, they say, 6 to 7%. No, let's just say top 5%. AOC, Bernie Sanders, et cetera. They're in the top 5% of income earners in America just by being in Congress. Here's the thing you all need to understand. These mofos could not earn that much money doing anything else if they had never got into politics. That's why they're in politics. They have no other value to offer to the world. That's why they're in politics, is they can't make that money doing anything else. Now, after they're in politics, could Bernie go make 200K after he gets out of politics? Yes, because he's Bernie. But where did he become Bernie? In politics. Could Kamala go make 100K for giving a speech right now? She probably got 100K for the speech she just did. She can do that now because she's Kamala. How did she become Kamala? In politics. So what I'm saying is, if they never got into politics in the first place, they would never have this kind of income earning potential. I have income earning potential without politics. That's the reason why I'm not in politics. I don't need politics to earn this kind of money. They need it because they have no other value. That's another reason why I'm not a fan of them. But most of these folks can't do anything that is worth anything if they weren't already in politics. I'm looking out my window at somebody out there taking pictures and trying to figure out what this guy's doing. Oh, he's taking a picture of a squirrel. Well, he was taking a picture of me. I was about to have to go out there and approach this guy, but he's taking a picture of a squirrel. But all right, he's okay. Anyway. So, yeah, 200K. So a bunch of you said that. So that's, yes, that's their come up. Exactly. That's what y'all got to understand. These people go into politics, they can't do anything else. They don't have any other way of earning value. What was AOC? She was a bartender. What was Bernie Sanders before he got into politics? We don't even know. He's been in politics his whole damn life. Most of them were lawyers, got a law degree, or they went straight from being a nobody to worth nothing to being in politics. So that's another reason why I wouldn't get in politics. It will be a downgrade in my, I'll be downgrading my networking by joining politics, by getting around these no substance people who have nothing else to gain but be politicians. And I wouldn't succeed in that area because they need that job. I don't need it. I mean, look what they did to Donald Trump. You want to see an example of somebody who's not a politician getting into politics? Look at Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, that's what happens when you come in there and you don't need the job. That's how they treat you. What they did to Trump is what they would do to anybody else. That's why you don't see anyone else who doesn't need politics in politics. There's a reason for that. There's a reason Trump was an outlier. Because when you don't need it, you have no reason to go in there. As soon as you get a feel for what it's like, you're like, oh, okay, let me go back to what I was doing. That's why Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Y'all understand? Now you get it. All right. Yes, we got the 70,000 likes. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to all of you who have been in here watching this live. I do these lives Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. From 8 to 10 is when I do these lives. I went a little bit over here today, but 8 to 10. And tomorrow's topic, I think I had a topic lined up for tomorrow. I might talk about some of the nonsense that we have just accepted as a society in general. I might talk about that tomorrow, but I might talk about something else. We'll see what comes up on the news feed. I'll be paying attention to the news to see what's going on. Not really paying attention, but anything catches my eye or ear, we'll talk about that. But it'll be something. It'll be some type of current event or a social topic we'll talk about tomorrow. Want to learn more about working with me directly, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. See the replay of this on my YouTube channel. It'll be up as soon as I get done with this live. You got any questions or anything else for me, just send me a DM. My assistant does work the DMs and she will get back to you. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com to learn more about me. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. Follow me on, what's the other site? Instagram. My link is in there as well. I will see all of you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern. Work on your game. We're out of here. Thank you, everybody, for the engagement. We out.